Prompt this book first update website, Baidu please search 15.1 book website. Prompt this book first update website, Baidu please search 15.1 book website. Ren Tianyong was the first to move as she moved to the side of the young man. She placed one hand on his shoulder and forcefully checked the strength of the man's divine sense. City Lord. You are. Ah! The man suddenly cried out in pain. His body unexpectedly emitted waves of extremely terrifying evil aura. When the two elders of the floating divine city saw this, they became even more anxious. They had just wanted to capture the young people beside them as hostages, but they were sealed up by Gu Dongchen, devil-killing heavenly G. O. D and the others without being able to move. Everyone immediately distanced themselves from the three people. They were also extremely shocked to see that there was actually a spy among them, and that he did not have a good status. Just now, Gu Dongchen had secretly sent a sound transmission to Lu Fuxing. Lu Fuxing arrived in front of the two elders and coldly said, "I treated you guys well, yet you guys actually betrayed me." City Lord. What did you say? This must be a misunderstanding. An old man hurriedly said. Misunderstanding? It was unknown what method devil-killing heavenly G. O. D used when he struck out. After hitting the old man, an evil aura surged out, enveloping the entire hall. Honestly, didn't you guys tell H.E.L. Devil Emperor about the battle that day? Penalty heavenly G. O. D asked coldly. You walked over and said in a cold voice, "Let me just search my soul and see then." Chen Xiang shouted anxiously, "Don't! Their divine soul is imprinted with the H.E.L. Devil Emperor's seal. If you try to look through their memories, they will automatically destroy their own divine soul." The three spies were instantly shocked because they did not know about this matter either. However, they knew that the reason the H.E.L. Devil Emperor did anything to their divine soul was to gain the H.E.L. Devil Emperor's trust in them. City Lord. When we were about to leave, he promised us that he would extend our lives, but we have to work for him. An old man said in a mournful voice, "The City Lord has always been very good to us, it's a pity that we can't improve any further. We can only die of old age, but we don't want to die. What about you? What's going on?" Ren Tianyong angrily asked as he looked at the man he had grabbed. The man suddenly sneered. His eyes turned red, his chest suddenly split open as he reached out with his hand. He held onto a black dagger tightly. His speed was extremely fast. Ren Tianyong never thought that the other party would suddenly possess such terrifying strength. It was simply too late to dodge, and just as his head was about to be penetrated, Ren Tianyong suddenly disappeared. When Chen Xiang was in danger, he used teleportation to teleport Ren Tianyong away. Otherwise, Ren Tianyong would really be in danger. Die! Devil-killing heavenly G. O. D was furious. Just now, his disciple was almost done for, but seeing that Ren Tianyong was fine, he instantly flashed over and slapped the man with his golden palm. The brat from City Lord is... Ah! An old man who wanted to say something cried out in pain. His body was soon set ablaze by the black flames and soon turned to ash. Penalty heavenly God frowned. Is this the power of the H.E.L. Devil Emperor's curse? It seems like he can't even say anything or he'll die. The remaining old man's legs trembled. He was extremely regretful that he had cooperated with the H.E.L. Devil Emperor. He did not expect that the thing that the H.E.L. Devil Emperor had left behind in their divine soul could take their lives at any time. I can't say it now either. Otherwise I will die. The old man's face was bitter and bitter. Chen Xiang walked over and looked at the old man. The old man's eyes had penetrated into his divine sense and found the old man's main divine soul. There was the H.E.L. Devil Emperor's mark between his eyebrows. You can say it now, Chen Xiang said. If you say it out loud, you won't die, so you should be able to feel that the imprint H-E-L, Devil Emperor left on your divine soul was erased by me just now. Devil killing heavenly G-O-D and the others were shocked. They were surprised by Chen Xiang's methods just now. Just now. That brat was the proud disciple of the H-E-L, Devil Emperor, and he was sent to the devil-killing divine city a long time ago. When the old man realized that he was fine, he heaved a sigh of relief and continued, the H-E-L, Devil Emperor already knows about the details of the battle here. Of course, we also know a little about their situation. What about the other two? Lu Fuxing asked. The other two are very mysterious. I don't know much about them. They are very arrogant. Even the experts beside H-E-L, Devil Emperor are looked down by them. The old man replied. Gu Dongchen took a light breath. It was obvious that those two arrogant people were from the divine nations. All of you go back and rest. Rest in the morning and have a good fight, said Gu Dongchen. The old man was brought away by them. Chen Xiang had already guessed long ago that there would definitely be a divine nations who would fight on the side of the city lord's mansion. Chen Xiang soon went to sleep fighting for a good state in the morning. He woke up to see Mu Qianxiang in the courtyard. Bro, Mu Qianxiang immediately walked over and smiled sweetly. Why do I feel like you've gotten stronger again? As she said that, she took out a large plate of roasted meat and gave it to Chen Xiang. She was a big foodie and was going to fight today, so she specially made some delicious food for Chen Xiang. Good girl. Chen Xiang took it over and wolfed it down. Seeing the look on his face, Mu Qianxiang giggled. Wu Keiming and Gu Dongchen also came to the courtyard with Zhou Xing following behind them. You can go outside the city. Right now, everyone is already waiting on top of the city walls. Gu Dongchen couldn't help but laugh when he saw that Chen Xiang was still eating. After Chen Xiang finished eating the meat, he laughed and said, Calm down. What worries me the most is that there are other plots going on in the H-E-L, Devil Emperor. As long as there's no war right now, it's fine, Gu Dongchen said. He had considered things from a long-term perspective. If he fought with the army of the H-E-L, Devil Emperor this time, they would not have enough strength to fight against the other powers of the Super G-O-D realm. Those powers in the Super G-O-D realm would definitely not tolerate the sudden appearance of such a huge force pressuring them. The great formation of the Nine Heaven City did not close Chen Xiang and the others who had come outside the city via the transmission array. They had come to ensure Mu Qianxiang's and Zhou Xing's safety. The devil-killing Heavenly God, penalty Heavenly God, Gu Dongchen, LV Qilian, and Long Huishan were all outside the city, while the others were all watching them from atop the city walls. The HELL Devil Emperor's side had also sent many strong HELL Devil Emperors and Fire Gods puppets. It seemed like their overall strength was much stronger than the Nine Heaven School's side. It was no wonder that Gu Dongchen was worried that they would be unable to recover from the great battle after losing both of them. The HELL Devil Emperor's side had also sent many strong HELL Devil Emperors and Fire Gods puppets. It seemed like their overall strength was much stronger than the Nine Heaven School's side. It was no wonder that Gu Dongchen was worried that they would be unable to recover from the great battle after losing both of them. Chen Xiang, long time no see. We're old enemies too. This time, you better be careful and not lose your life. HELL Devil Emperor wore a dark red armor and the middle-aged man's face was filled with ferocity. Even though he did not emit any demonic aura, he looked very scary. Back then, when I was still very weak, didn't you do all you could to kill me? The one who should be careful is an evil demon like you. You should be able to live for so long. Wu Keiming took out the black ball that tested the divine deity and said, Let your people cooperate a little. This is to prevent anyone with 6 divine deity, and above from sneaking in. El Devil Emperor also took out a divine deity testing treasure. It was a red bead, and he said with a sneer, "You should also let your people cooperate with me. I'm more worried that you guys are cheating." At this time, one of the three young men who walked out from behind the El Devil Emperor was Fu Tiangao. When he saw Chen Xiang, his face was filled with anger, and he was extremely jealous of him. Because he knew that Chen Xiang had many outstanding women by his side, and this Mu Qianxiang in front of him was Chen Xiang's recognized sister. The other two men were dressed in white. There was not a single emotion on their faces, and their eyes were filled with coldness, as if nothing in the world could be placed in their eyes. However, they were extremely cooperative as they tested the quant. tie of their divine deity. After the test, they were all given 6 divine deities. What was more surprising was that the rays of light they gave off during the test were very bright, much brighter than Zhou Xing and his. This meant that their divine deity was special and strong. Take as many divine deity as you have. How many specks of light are in this bead? After El Devil Emperor tossed the bead in his hand to Zhou Xing to receive, 6 white specks of light instantly appeared within your red bead. After the test is finished, place it on the ground. Wait for the specks of light to disappear before moving on to the next one. Then, Mu Qianxiang picked it up and 6 more light dots appeared on top of it. After showing it to El Devil Emperor, she placed it back on the ground. It was Chen Xiang's turn to be serious. At this time, because he already knew that Chen Xiang only possessed 4 divine deity and 4 of them already displayed extremely strong strength, he wanted to see if it was true. Although Chen Xiang had been at the side of the black ball before, the El Devil Emperor felt that it was not accurate. After Chen Xiang picked it up, 6 white specks of light immediately appeared inside the red bead. Chen Xiang actually had 6 divine deities. Mu Qianxiang and Zhou Xing both felt extremely surprised. It was simply impossible for Chen Xiang to condense 2 divine deity from the first 20 days. What's going on? Could it be that our previous measurement was not accurate? WANG genes. HI+ was extremely surprised. Does this kid originally have 6 divine deity? Did he purposefully suppress 2 sets of divine deity before? It's very possible that this brat has always liked to hide his own strength, Bai Yu said. Amongst this group of people, she understood Chen Xiang the most. Only LV Qilian knew that Chen Xiang had gone to Shuexianxian and the others to borrow a time formation plate. However, she still could not believe that it would be possible to condense 2 divine deity that quickly even after 20 years of time. After all, the higher one went, the harder it was. El Devil Emperor also saw the surprise on Gu Dongchen and the others' faces and knew that they were puzzled about the 2 divine deities that suddenly appeared from Chen Xiang's body. Right now, everyone secretly thought that Chen Xiang had deliberately concealed 2 divine deity. If that was really the case, would he be hiding another divine deity? Is Master still hiding other divine deity? Fu Tiangao also knew that Chen Xiang only had 4 divine deities before. If he is still hiding, then wouldn't we be at a disadvantage? This is impossible. This treasure was refined by our great national master. On the basis of it, he can't fool this treasure. A man in white said. Hearing him say that, great national master was sure that Chen Xiang was from divine nations, yet he was secretly helping the El Devil Emperor. So what if he has 7 divine deity? I can still kill him. The other white-clothed man laughed coldly as he looked at Chen Xiang with disdain. The El Devil Emperor said the red bead to a white-clothed man and said, "The 3 people that will be partic. 1p. Aiding are Nye Lin and Dong Lijun." Gu Dongchen said, "We are Mu Qianxiang, Zhou Xing, Chen Xiang." Fortunately, according to the rules of the compet. 1. tie-in if no one is allowed to partake. 1. P8 Then just admit defeat and take responsibility. Hel. Devil Emperor laughed sinisterly as he looked at Chun Xiang and continued, the process of the compet. 1. Tie-in is to not allow the use of weapons the moment you use one. Even if you violate the rules of the compet. 1. Tie-in, you will still have to go through with the contract now. All the partake. 1. P. Ants from both sides had made a promise not to use divine weapons or divine armors, and also made a promise that they only had 6 divine deity. When this contract was completed, it would also mean that Chun Xiang only had 6 divine deity. If you violate the contract, I will not take your lives. It will only give you a headache, Hel. Devil Emperor said. Earlier, I clearly knew that you cannot consume pellets after getting injured unless you withdraw. This contract was very fair to both sides. On our side, Fu Tiangao is going to fight. If he wins, he can continue to fight against the Partic. 1. P. Ants on your side. Hel. Devil Emperor said, if you win, he can choose to continue fighting or change his opponent. Fu Tiangao had already walked out. I'll take care of them all myself. You guys must run off the stage in time to admit defeat. I won't be merciful even in front of beauties. The enchantments of the dueling platform were set up by the strong experts of both sides. Although the aftermath of the battle was very strong and they couldn't escape, they could fall out or go back and rest for a while. If it really wasn't possible, they could only withdraw and not fight again. In Zhou Xing's first match, he had controlled the power of time to let Chen Xiang and Mu Qianxiang clearly see that Fu Tiangao's control over the power of time also had a very strong ability to protect himself. The fighting stage was quite large, like a small square. It wasn't easy for it to fall out, and if one admitted defeat, one had to run off the stage. If the opponent was too strong, there was no time to run down and admit defeat, there would be danger. The fighting stage was quite large, like a small square. It wasn't easy for it to fall out, and if one admitted defeat, one had to run off the stage. If the opponent was too strong, there was no time to run down and admit defeat, there would be danger. After Zhou Xing walked onto the stage, he was a little worried because the other party knew them like the back of his hand. However, they knew nothing about the enemy, which was why they were at a disadvantage. Although Zhou Xing had gone through 20 days of training, he still had not fixed the flaw that Chen Xiang had discovered, but if the other party knew that he had used it extremely well, it would be a difficult battle for him. When he went up on stage, Gu Dongchen sent a sound transmission to him, telling him to stand to the side as much as possible. To Gu Dongchen, even if they lost on his side, just a little Shun Yuan stone would not be enough to make up for the loss of an outstanding disciple. As for disciples like Zhou Xing, who used the power of time, they were even rarer and more precious. The rules should be clear. Hel. Devil Emperor sneered, walk to the center. The square stage was 300 to 400 feet wide, and there were only 2 people standing on it. It seemed very spacious. Zhou Xing was a little nervous. He could tell that this was the first time he had experienced such a fight, and in the past, he had always been fighting with his own people, but now, he was fighting with such a cunning enemy, or at least using his evil qi. Begin, Hel. Devil Emperor suddenly roared, scaring everyone, causing them to be secretly shocked. They all started to shout, while Zhou Xing was the first to attack. In the previous matches, he had used 8-time clones from the very beginning, but now he was using 16. This was his limit. Kid who controls time, haha. Fu Tiangao suddenly laughed sinisterly. The black aura around his body started to surge. Zhou Xing's time clone, who was just about to get close, was immediately affected by it. Zhou Xing didn't know what method the other party used, but he knew that his time and energy had been greatly restricted. Now he knew that the 2 brothers did not have enough control over the power of time, and that there was a fatal flaw. It's a soul form. Chen Xiang frowned. He released a lot of dead souls just now. These dead souls are connected with Fu Tiangao's divine soul, and are equivalent to a part of him, so time and energy are useless against these dead souls. At this moment, he realized that it was extremely difficult to control the power of time. He immediately understood that the barrier was simply too strong, and changing the time inside of the barrier was extremely difficult, and he secretly hated himself in his heart. He was strong in the power of time, but being in a useless place like this, he had already been restricted greatly in his power. Zhou Xing suddenly cried out in pain. He spat out a large mouthful of blood. A black shadow had struck his back. It was a fist that had been transformed into a ghost, and Zhou Xing was unable to change the timing of the attack. Furthermore, the opponent's attack was extremely fast, and even if it came from all directions, it would be difficult for him to dodge. Come down. At this time, they had also realized that because the barrier was too strong, and Zhou Xing's use of the power of time wasn't good enough, she was definitely limited by a certain amount of restrictions. Zhou Xing's back was hit. Not only were his body injured, his divine soul had also suffered some sort of injury. What shocked him was that he was currently surrounded by a large number of souls. All of them had been refined and possessed very strong powers. Under Fu Tiangao's control, they turned into fists or legs, and rushed towards Zhou Xing. In the blink of an eye, Zhou Xing had been hit multiple times again. I don't believe I can't kill you. Fu Tiangao's power was very strong. The undead spirits that he had controlled were able to suppress Zhou Xing, and he had not made a move yet. But right now, he was plusing towards Zhou Xing as his palm suddenly grew larger, his fingertips growing long and sharp. The skin of his palm became rough and black smoke emitted out of it, making him look like a demon's claw, which was extremely terrifying. Fu Tiangao flew over as fast as lightning and used his terrifying claw to stab towards Zhou Xing, who had been retreating this entire time, had already sensed it. Humph! Black skin appeared on Fu Tiangao's face, and he seemed to be even more powerful than before. He snorted angrily, and quickly retracted his hand, ripping off Zhou Xing's arm. After Zhou Xing let out a miserable cry, another arm grew out from the area of his severed arm. Was even more furious now, with his cultivation of the evil demon, he would have easily been able to enlarge his evil thoughts. If a normal person was only envious of Zhou Xing's abilities, but Fu Tiangao was crazy with jealousy, if he could not obtain it, he would destroy it. This time, he reached his claws out towards Zhou Xing's neck. His speed was even faster than last time and his strength was even stronger than last time. Because Zhou Xing had already walked down the stage, this was equivalent to him admitting defeat. Fu Tiangao couldn't attack him anymore. Brat, don't ever go on stage again. I won't give you another chance next time. Fu Tiangao said angrily. He had already recovered to his original appearance. The way he looked just now when he was angered was extremely terrifying. Qianxiang, do you think you can take care of him? Gu Dongchen asked. If Mu Qianxiang could not do it, Chen Xiang would directly go up, and then Fu Tiangao's strength was truly terrifying. Zhou Xing could only concede. I'll try. Mu Qianxiang said, since we are here, we should fight. Chen Xiang sent a sound transmission to her. It is enough for you to use the Devil Slayer clan to deal with him. This kind of evil demon is most afraid of this kind of thing. You should be more familiar with the Devil Slayer clan, right? Yes. Mu Qianxiang jumped up onto the stage. Upon seeing him, Fu Tiangao's eyes instantly revealed an evil light, as though she wanted to pull him out completely. Begin! Hel. Devil Emperor shouted, and Fu Tiangao suddenly flashed, and appeared behind Mu Qianxiang. He pressed his lips together a little, and used his pair of evil claws to fiercely stab Mu Qianxiang in the back. Mu Qianxiang was extremely vigilant, and when she noticed that Fu Tiangao had disappeared, she immediately left her original position to avoid the pair of demon claws. When she tried to avoid the claws, her jade hands shot out a gold light that was filled with the sacred power of exterminating devils, hitting Fu Tiangao's body and turning into a chain that tied Fu Tiangao up. Demon-slaying chains. You did a good job. W.A.N.G. Jeans. H.I. plus heaved a sigh of relief. She was worried about Mu Qianxiang, because that Fu Tiangao was too terrifying. After Mu Qianxiang tied Fu Tiangao up, he released her few swords that were condensed from God power. She controlled these swords to form a sword formation and pierced towards Fu Tiangao. You're underestimating me, D.A.M.N.U. Fu Tiangao laughed out loud. After shattering the golden chains on his body, he let out a furious roar, and a terrifying scene appeared. 6 arms suddenly appeared from his back. These arms were all black and rough skin. They all had those kind of terrifying demon claws. Come down! Chen Xiang anxiously shouted. Mu Qianxiang clenched her teeth, increased the power of her swords, and quickly ran down the stage. In the blink of an eye, she was about to leave the stage, but her back was still hit by a flying demon claw. Mu Qianxiang was sent flying and off the stage. Chen Xiang rushed over to catch her, and she incinerated the palm that had stabbed into his back. At the same time, Mu Qianxiang was also severely injured. I'm leaving! Mu Qianxiang shouted. She was injured at the moment. If he did not save her, she would be in danger. Now, it was Chen Xiang's turn to go up on stage. Neither Zhou Xing nor Mu Qianxiang could be a match for him. Zhou Xing had defeated both of them in such a short period of time, and he had even lost in such a pathetic manner. If Zhou Xing didn't have the time and energy to heal his injuries, he would probably be even more injured than Mu Qianxiang right now. Zhou Xing had defeated both of them in such a short period of time, and he had even lost in such a pathetic manner. If Zhou Xing didn't have the time and energy to heal his injuries, he would probably be even more injured than Mu Qianxiang right now. Mu Qianxiang had already consumed a pill and was teleported back to the city. She stood on the city wall and looked at Fu Tiangao, who had recovered from his injuries. This fellow is simply a demon. I hope nothing will happen to your brother. Mu Qianxiang had clearly felt the difference between her and Fu Tiangao just now. She had used the power of the Devil Slayer, but the effect wasn't obvious, and she was still forcefully suppressed by the opponent. Big Bro will definitely be able to beat him. His opponents are the 2 fellows from Divine Nations, Ling Yulan said. Chen Xiang walked up the stage and slowly walked to the center, saying, I didn't expect you to actually do such a disgusting thing in order to get power. I really admire you for that. What did you say? When Fu Tiangao saw Chen Xiang, his anger surged for some reason, especially when he thought about how Chen Xiang was hugging so many beautiful and outstanding women. His heart almost exploded with rage. The only reason you can become so strong is because of that demon. I know that your Fu Tian school cultivates a type of Nori's HI plus-ing evil technique. Are you trying to pick up nourishment for that kind of demon? Otherwise it would be impossible for them to fuse so well with their powers. Chen Xiang smiled faintly. Chen Xiang had only just stared into Fu Tiangao's eyes, yet he could directly see his divine sense C, which was filled with demons. Originally, Fu Tiangao was a good girl, but in order to obtain power, he stayed together with the demon. Currently, he was gradually being affected by the demon, so his divine sense C should have had all kinds of beauties, but now he was actually a demon. What made Chen Xiang feel the most saddened was that Fu Tiangao did not wish to do so. He could no longer control his own divine sense C. Say a little more, because you won't have a chance to say more in the future. Both of Fu Tiangao's hands had already become devil claws, and as his face gradually turned black, his eyes suddenly grew larger, becoming half human and half demon. The demonic aura that continuously surged out from his body was also extremely terrifying, to the point that the stage was shaking. Chen Xiang had already walked to the middle and lightly said, "That's right, you won't have a chance to hear me speak anymore in the future, because you're going to die very soon." El Devil Emperor could not wait any longer and shouted loudly, "Begin." He had not seen Chen Xiang for many years, and now, he also wanted to see just how strong Chen Xiang was. Of course, he wished to see Chen Xiang die a horrible death even more, and Fu Tiangao's methods would definitely cause Chen Xiang to die a miserable death. Chen Xiang did not attack first, but stood at his original position with a composed expression. Fu Tiangao had long been furious, his body had been turned into a monster by his anger. He roared like a demon and rushed towards Chen Xiang. His hands were like two black swords as they stabbed at Chen Xiang. These two claws were extremely terrifying. Mu Qianxiang and Zhou Xing almost died under the claws. But now, Fu Tiangao's attacks were even more ferocious. As the spectators were looking at Fu Tiangao, who seemed to have gone berserk, they were even more shocked. Seeing Fu Tiangao attacking, they almost shouted out, afraid that Chen Xiang would be instantly killed. The outcome was outside of everyone's expectations. Facing these two claws, he would definitely have to dodge, but not only did Chen Xiang do not do so, he even reached out to grab the other party's palms. "You!" Fu Tiangao suddenly perspired profusely. His hands that were filled with immense amounts of demonic qi was actually immobilized, and was grabbed tightly by Chen Xiang. "Die!" Chen Xiang raised his right leg and swept towards Fu Tiangao's thick waist, breaking the body that had turned into a demon from the waist. The extremely strong Fu Tiangao just now had easily defeated Mu Qianxiang and Zhou Xing, but his body had actually been cut into two pieces, and it was even broken by someone's leg. This was the right leg of the double bone level that Chen Xiang condensed, and the divine soul of two powerful earthly beasts had also fused inside. Chen Xiang did not use the meteor immortal power. He only poured the fire G-O-D energy that was transformed from the 4 fire G-O-D divine deity into his legs. The power could be said to be extremely terrifying, and without the divine armor, it was simply impossible for him to resist. "You're just SOSO. At this moment, Chen Xiang was still holding on to Fu Tiangao's hands. He lightly tossed and threw the upper half of Fu Tiangao's body to the ground. His right leg burned with raging flames as he fiercely stomped down towards Fu Tiangao's lower half. Boom! Everyone only saw sparks flying in all directions, and Fu Tiangao's lower body was already turned into slag. This gave everyone a huge shock, and Fu Tiangao was already very scary, but Chen Xiang was even more powerful, as he instantly slashed Fu Tiangao's body into two pieces. Then, he stomped on Fu Tiangao's lower body till it became dust. This kind of strength didn't seem like the power of the sixth divine deity at all. It had to be known that Fu Tiangao's strength had already far surpassed, as said the ordinary sixth divine deity. Mu Qianxiang and Zhou Xing were both outstanding divine gods of the sixth divine deity, but they could only retreat in defeat against Fu Tiangao. Just how strong was Chen Xiang? No one had been able to find out, but the primordial gods present actually doubted whether they could defeat such a terrifying Chen Xiang with the power of the primordial godu. Fu Tiangao crawled on the ground with both hands. He wanted to lie down and fight, but Chen Xiang would not let him succeed. He jumped over, and when he landed, his feet congealed into strong flame power and stepped on Fu Tiangao's body. Boom! A wave of flames surged from under Chen Xiang's feet and spread in all directions. This stomp of Chen Xiang's used a very strong fire divine power. After all, it was the upper half of his body. With Fu Tiangao's divine sense, he wanted to destroy it once and for all. The stage was covered in blazing fire, but it disappeared very quickly as if Chen Xiang had just absorbed it. Fu Tiangao had already disappeared, but there was only black dust on the ground. Everyone looked at the smoldering ashes and could not help but hi plus ver. The terrifying Fu Tiangao from just a moment ago was done for. So there was such a huge gap between us. It seems like he was only playing around with me the last time we competed. The astonished Ling Yulan said in a heavy tone. Chen Xiang, this be Astardamn, that's scary. Zhu Rong had fought with Chen Xiang before, so when he recalled that he wasn't injured when he lost, he felt extremely lucky. The ones who were most shocked were of course the Supreme G.O.D.S., who had maintained the barrier the most. Just now, Gu Dongchen and the others could clearly feel that the aftershock was extremely strong. They only had 6 divine deity, and felt very suspicious of Chen Xiang. Although Fu Tiangao was strong, the intensity of his power was still within their range of power, and Chen Xiang was simply too terrifying. He looked at Nie Lin and Dong Lijun, the 2 men whose faces were still filled with arrogance. They had come from the divine nations, and were even connected to some great national master. Nie Lin, Dong Lijun, who will go up first? You should have seen Chen Xiang's strength. The H.E.L. Devil Emperor hesitated for a moment, then said, If you can't beat him, then forget it, Chen Xiang will not show mercy at that time. Don't worry, the one who died was him. Even though I, Nie Lin, am not very strong in divine nations, I have more than enough to kill him. Nie Lin walked up the stage. On the city wall, everyone was suspicious of Chen Xiang's power, but Nie Lin felt that he was stronger than him. On the city wall, everyone was suspicious of Chen Xiang's power, but Nie Lin felt that he was stronger than him. How's the fight going? Long Shui ran over in a hurry, and pulled Mu Qianxiang along as he asked, Why are you here, did you leave? Mu Qianxiang nodded, then quickly and simply told Long Shui about the battle. Long Shui looked at Nie Lin and said, This guy has a sickness, see how little scoundrel will torture him to death later. Yue said, Nie Lin is not in the fighting stage, so I am unable to feel Chen Xiang's strength. Furthermore, he looked down on the Fu Tiangao who was killed, so he felt that Fu Tiangao was not that strong. Chen Xiang stood in the middle, and watched Nie Lin walking over. He stared fixedly at Nie Lin's eyes, and immediately saw that Nie Lin's divine sense C was actually a divine sense C that was filled with lightning. Nie Lin's divine sense C, which was filled with lightning of various colors, was constantly striking at the violently surging ocean waves. So he was using the thunder power. Chen Xiang could only see all of this from his opponent's divine sense C. He guessed that Nie Lin did not have much ambition, and was only focused on training his thunder G.O.D. powers. H.E.L. Devil Emperor was anxious to see Nie Lin's strength. He was not afraid of Nie Lin dying. He was even more excited, because if Nie Lin died, the divine nations would definitely be more furious. Begin. H.E.L. Devil Emperor saw Nie Lin walking in the middle and anxiously shouted. Nie Lin made his move very quickly. He had only raised his hand slightly, and made a quick swatting motion. A flash of lightning appeared in his arm, and he released a lightning whip towards Chen Xiang. Chen Xiang also did not expect that the other party's casual slaps would be so fast and that his strength was frightening, hitting him in the face with a whip. The moment Chen Xiang's face was struck, he felt an extremely vast force hitting his face, as though it was going to shatter it. When he flew out, he spat out a mouthful of blood. Chen Xiang was sent flying. Lying on the ground, there was a whip mark on his face. He did not expect his opponent's attack to be so fast, causing him to be unable to prepare in time. He's much weaker than I imagined. Nie Lin snorted in disdain. When he spoke, he immediately waved his hands and lashed out dozens of times at the same time, all of them striking Chen Xiang's body. The moment Chen Xiang laid on the ground, he only wanted to get up, but he was immediately pressed down by the incoming pressure. Soon after, he felt his body was struck by several tens of fierce and violent attacks, which made him spit out a large mouthful of blood. The opponent's strength was truly too strong, and coupled with his extremely fast speed, he simply did not have any time to defend. Just a moment ago, Chen Xiang had easily killed Fu Tiangao and displayed an extremely terrifying strength. But now, he had been ruthlessly beaten by Nie Lin from the start. Mu Qianxiang bit her lips and said softly, "Brother, quickly get up!" Chen Xiang looked like he had been beaten badly, as he lay on the ground unable to get up. He laughed out loud, full of disdain. This time, Nie Lin had only whipped Chen Xiang twice and Chen Xiang had already turned into smoke. This made Nie Lin frown, because he did not plan to kill Chen Xiang this quickly. The moment Chen Xiang turned into smoke, Chen Xiang's friends all started to shout, but after seeing that cloud of smoke floating to a certain place and turning into Chen Xiang, they all calmed down. "I won't die that easily." Chen Xiang wiped off the blood from the corner of his mouth. He had just used the cloud sky sculpture. This was his innate ability and had a very unique power. It could turn his strong body into smoke to avoid attack. The moment Chen Xiang appeared, Nie Lin had already lashed out at him ruthlessly a few times. However, after hitting his body, the places where Chen Xiang's 4 matches were held would scatter like mist and then reform. Is this an innate ability of the body? Nie Lin finally left his original position, and at the moment he disappeared, waves of electric currents suddenly appeared around Chen Xiang, and at the moment, he looked as though he was trapped in a cage made of electric wire. Trapped. Chen Xiang struck the electric threads once, and a strong electrical current entered into his body, causing his entire body to tremble. This cage was created by him? Chen Xiang was shocked. At the same time, a strong pressure came from all directions, causing the cage to gradually shrink. "Goodbye!" Nie Lin suddenly appeared and punched at Chen Xiang. When his fist struck the stage, the resulting force tore apart the stage, causing lightning to dance around. Nie Lin's fist was covered with thick layers of electric threads. Just now, he had used a lightning cage to trap Chen Xiang, preventing him from escaping. It's still too early to say such words. Chen Xiang's left hand appeared in an extremely strange manner, and as it emitted flames, it grabbed onto Nie Lin's fist, which was filled with a violent energy. Nie Lin was startled. He was extremely clear about the power of his fist. He had used this level of power several times before, and could kill his opponent easily, but this time, his fist was caught, and what made him extremely shocked was, when the thunder power struck Chen Xiang's palm, Chen Xiang was actually fine. S left arm condensed with bones, it was incomparably powerful, and was not something Nie Lin could compare to. Even if Nie Lin's arm also had bones, it was only a single bones, which was simply too far away from Chen Xiang's 2 bones S. Nie Lin had 6 divine deities, and the power of his punch could possibly be the power of 4 divine deities. But the power Chen Xiang was currently using was indeed the 6 divine deities in his body and the 2 divine deities on his arms, as well as the 2 energies constantly surging from his right leg. It was equivalent to 10 divine deities. Among them, 4 were bones S that were still difficult to cultivate. Chen Xiang suddenly increased his strength, causing Nie Lin's fist to clench into a fist. Nie Lin's face suddenly contorted and warped. The sudden pain was something he was not prepared to endure. "Ah!" Nie Lin screamed in pain. His fist was actually crushed by Chen Xiang, blood spurting out. Everyone watching felt their scalps go numb. Just what kind of power was this, to be able to forcibly shatter another person's fist? And the frightening power that Nie Lin unleashed was actually blocked by one of Chen Xiang's arms. "Goodbye." The moment Chen Xiang's voice fell, his right foot had already swept towards Nie Lin's head. Nie Lin's head was gone, he fell to the ground, his neck still smoking. Obviously his head was wiped off by the scorching energy. Nie Lin, who was extremely arrogant a moment ago, was only left with a headless body on the stage. The young ranker from Divine Nations was already dead, and even more so died so straightforwardly. He was killed by Chen Xiang in a few moves. Previously, he talked about how strong he was when he got on the stage, but now, he was killed by Chen Xiang just like that Fu Tiangao. The young ranker from Divine Nations was already dead, and even more so died so straightforwardly. He was killed by Chen Xiang in a few moves. Previously, he talked about how strong he was when he got on the stage, but now, he was killed by Chen Xiang just like that Fu Tiangao. When Devil Emperor saw that the strength that Chen Xiang had displayed was even stronger than before, he became even more furious and wished that he could go up on the stage and slap Chen Xiang to death now. Previously, he thought that Chen Xiang's strength was still far from his level, but if this continued, it wouldn't be long before Chen Xiang said him. From the beginning till the end, his expression had never changed, and even when Nye Lin was killed, he did not feel anything. It seemed that Nye Lin's death did not allow him to see Chen Xiang's strength in a new light, and at the moment, he was looking at Chen Xiang with the same expression of disdain as before. Dong Lijun, you are the only one left. Whether or not you can turn the tide depends on you. The Devil Emperor said that if he lost the compet. 1. Tian here, not only would he not get the Xin Yuan stone, they would also not be able to cause trouble for a long period of time. Although Dong Lijun did not speak as arrogantly as Nye Lin, he seemed to be even more arrogant. When Devil Emperor was speaking to him, he did not even spare him a glance as he lazily walked onto the stage. In his eyes, the battle was not important. He did not even put him in his eyes. Are all these Divine Nations people seriously ill? Each one is more arrogant than the last. Long Shui scoffed, however, this guy seems to be quite calm. Although Dong Lijun had a stern and arrogant face, he was still extremely cautious at the moment. Once he got on the stage, he became extremely vigilant. Seeing Dong Lijun being so serious, Chen Xiang was also very interested in him, and immediately looked into his eyes. Dong Lijun's divine sense C immediately appeared, and to his surprise, there was nothing inside Dong Lijun's divine sense C. Chen Xiang had seen a lot of divine sense C, so even if he saw a lot of strange divine sense C, he would not be surprised. But this time, seeing this divine sense C that was like the ocean in reality, he was very shocked. It was because this divine sense C was very similar to him, and his divine sense C looked the same. It was just that there was an additional island, and his divine soul was also on that island. I can't see it at all. Could it be that he possesses the ability to conceal the true face of the divine sense C? Chen Xiang was very suspicious in his heart. If this wasn't the case, then he felt that this Dong Lijun might be the same as him, hiding a mysterious second divine sense C. Dong Lijun did not directly walk to the center of the stage, but walked around Chen Xiang. He was actually examining Chen Xiang at the bottom of the stage, and then looked at the broken parts on the stage. Although Nye Lin is very arrogant, he possesses a certain level of strength. He himself possesses 6 divine deity and 1 bones, yet he died so easily. Dong Lijun said lightly, "From the qi that you are partic. 1 p. aiding in, you must have used the power of bones." Dong Lijun had finally walked in the middle. This meant that he was already prepared, and even though Devil Emperor was shouting begin, Dong Lijun and Chen Xiang didn't move. In other words, you possess 3 bones? Chen Xiang frowned. Was different from Nye Lin, although he looked arrogant on the surface, he was actually so cautious in his way of doing things. It seemed like this was his habit. No matter who the opponent was, he would first check the opponent's strength. Dong Lijun was unable to sense Chen Xiang's power from outside, so he was unable to accurately judge Chen Xiang's strength. However, after he walked onto the stage, he had a rough estimate that he would need to pay attention to his opponent. How many bones I have is not important. The important thing is that I can defeat you. Dong Lijun took a deep breath. A gold light suddenly flashed past his eyes, and they instantly turned gold. Chen Xiang retreated a few steps back. It was as if Dong Lijun had become a completely different person. The strength of his body seemed to have increased by many times. The pressure he was releasing was already enough to crack the stage, causing the bricks to shatter. What exactly is going on? Chen Xiang did not understand how this Dong Lijun in front of him used such a powerful skill to suddenly become so strong. His eyes were still gold, and the light in his eyes made Chen Xiang feel an indescribable heat. Be serious! In a flash, he arrived beside Chen Xiang and kicked him in the left arm. His leg shone with a golden light, as if it contained an endless amount of power, and when he kicked Chen Xiang's left arm, the extremely fast speed and terrifying power caused S.P.A.C. to ripple, and black cracks actually appeared on it. To think that I can't move. Chen Xiang was shocked. He immediately channeled all the energy in his body to move. Seeing that the kick was about to come over, Chen Xiang finally moved his body slightly to the side, but he was too slow. Even though he was able to move, his left arm was kicked, causing a large chunk of flesh to fly out. It was just a single kick, but it was as if he had been cut by a blade. Chen Xiang looked at the shocking wound, and saw that there was actually that kind of golden light on it. Dong Lijun could not hold Chen Xiang still for too long. After kicking him, Chen Xiang immediately felt his entire body relax, and then distancing himself from Dong Lijun, he began to circulate the alive slain method to repair his injured arm, at the same time using the heavenly alchemy to refine the gold light on his arm, to prevent it from seeping into his body and causing fatal injuries. This is a pure yang divine body, Chen Xiang. You must be careful of his pure yang energy. The devil-killing heavenly G.O.D. suddenly shouted, "This power is like a sharp blade. If it enters the body, it can grind the organs into pieces." Chen Xiang didn't have the slightest understanding of the pure yang divine body, but after knowing the characteristics of this power, he secretly became nervous. If he had not refined that power just now, then it would have definitely infiltrated into his body and wreaked havoc there. The consequences were unimaginable. This kind of power has a numbing power. It's to prevent one from feeling pain when entering the body, but why is it that the moment it enters the body, the muscles will not tighten and it can directly enter? It's too terrifying. Chen Xiang looked at the Dong Lijun, who was currently laughing coldly, and his heart still had lingering fear. He looked at the piece of flesh on his arm that was kicked out. It had actually been twisted into a liquid by that power. It could be seen that Dong Lijun had only lightly used the blade-like pure yang divine power just now. At this time, Chen Xiang already had a shadow over that power. He did not want to be hit by that power again, and he would definitely suffer serious injuries. It could be seen that Dong Lijun had only lightly used the blade-like pure yang divine power just now. At this time, Chen Xiang already had a shadow over that power. He did not want to be hit by that power again, and he would definitely suffer serious injuries. What he did not understand was how the other party was able to stop him just now. It's here again. Just as Chen Xiang was pondering about how he was frozen, he once again felt his body unable to move. This is actually caused by the power within my own body. The power within my body is actually controlled by him. Chen Xiang's face was filled with astonishment. He looked at Dong Lijun, who was standing afar, and saw that Dong Lijun was smiling complacently, but he had suddenly disappeared. Chen Xiang was panicking. This Dong Lijun had already attacked, and right now he could already feel the terrifying pure yang energy coming from Dong Lijun. He only controls the power within my divine sense C. I cannot use the six realms power inside. Chen Xiang immediately controlled the six realms power to return to the divine sense C. Originally, in order to erupt with a very strong power at any moment, six realms power would gather in his limbs and bones. The reason he was frozen was because no one knew what these six realms power were controlled by Dong Lijun. After taking back the six realms power, Chen Xiang's legs slipped and he activated the shrinking step. In the blink of an eye, he was already at the side of the stage, avoiding Dong Lijun's swift punch that was made with the pure yang divine spirit. So close. If my reaction was a bit slower, I wonder what would have happened to me. I wonder if my art of breeding heavenly elephants will be able to stop this guy's pure yang energy? Chen Xiang was not clear about this, but he did not dare try. If he was unable to resist, then without the help of a profound clothing, his body would be punched bloody holes. Dong Lijun was also a little surprised. He never thought that Chen Xiang would actually discover that he could control the mysterious power so quickly. This guy must have some sort of ability to be able to control other people's mysterious power. I never thought that even my own 6 realms' power would be controlled. What kind of ability does this guy possess? No wonder he was so confident in himself. With the pure yang divine power in him and this ability to control other people's mysterious power, even if it were the 9 divine deities against him, they would probably not be able to survive past 30 moves. Chen Xiang kept on looking at Dong Lijun's eyes, wanting to clearly see the other party's divine sense see, but he did not reap any benefits. Do you plan to use only the strength of your fleshly body? Dong Lijun taunted while sneering. This means that you have to give up your 6th divine deity and only use your body to fight me. Do you think you have any chance of winning? The 6th divine deity were fundamental. If one did not use the 6th divine deity nor the power of the divine sense see, then their strength would be greatly restricted, and even if Chen Xiang had the bones, it would be useless. Let me see how long you can last. His palm exploded with waves of terrifying rays of pure yang energy, completely covering the direction of Chen Xiang. Other than running off the stage, Chen Xiang could not dodge at all, and using the 6 realms' power, that level would immediately be frozen, making it even more dangerous. Got it! Chen Xiang's mind flashed. He immediately used a transformation technique and created many mirrors on the surface of his body, because he only sensed rays of light. They were not very strong, but the light that the pure yang spirit qi turned into was like extremely sharp blades. Just as Chen Xiang had expected, all of the light beams shot back. Dong Lijun was very afraid of this light and immediately circulated his body to absorb it into his body, if not his body would also be cut off. Chen Xiang took this opportunity to rush forward. When he was using shrinking step, his speed was also extremely fast. In a blink of an eye he was already in front of Dong Lijun and kicked him out. Boom! Although he did not have the support of the 6 realms' power, his strength was still very frightening. He kicked at Dong Lijun's abdomen, causing him to spit out a mouthful of blood. At the same time that Dong Lijun was kicked, his palm imbued with pure yang energy, swept towards Chen Xiang's neck. Chen Xiang raised his head and barely dodged it. A streak of blood appeared on his neck, and his head was almost chopped off. After the two exchanged one move, they both sensed that the other side was in extreme danger. They did not dare to use the second move and retreated. So dangerous! Mu Qianxiang almost shouted out just now. Big Bro seems to have his strength restricted. Ling Yulan said. This fellow from the divine nations is not ordinary. With his pure yang divine body, he is definitely highly valued. Even Chen Xiang, who possessed such a terrifying mysterious power, is controlled. It can be seen how terrifying this Dong Lijun is. He is definitely a top genius among the divine nations. Yue said. Now let's see if Chen Xiang has a way to break that strange divine ability of the other party. From the kick that Chen Xiang gave him, Dong Lijun was able to deduce that the strength of Chen Xiang's body was much stronger than he imagined. He was also certain that the leg Chen Xiang gave him earlier contained bones, so he understood the terrifying strength of bones very well. Previously, when he was watching from below, he had suspected that Chen Xiang's left and right leg possessed bones. So when he first attacked Chen Xiang's left arm, it was only to test him. So what? Dong Lijun spat out blood in the air, and it looked like nothing had happened. It was true that Chen Xiang's leg did not cause any damage to him, but it was too sudden, and the blood flow in his body was suppressed to his internal organs, which caused him to vomit blood. However, it did not harm him too much. Although Chen Xiang was expressionless, he was secretly pleasantly surprised, because when he had attacked earlier, he had been paying attention to Dong Lijun's eyes. Just as Dong Lijun was about to cut his head off, he suddenly saw a divine soul appearing inside Dong Lijun's divine sense. Dong Lijun's divine soul was actually hidden within the divine sense. As for the divine soul that appeared just now, it was releasing its innate ability, wanting to control his 6 realms power, just in case, but Chen Xiang did not use it, so its ability power was not used on him. Chen Xiang wiped away the blood on his neck. Because it was only a very shallow wound, it could quickly recover. The piece of flesh that was kicked out earlier had already grown out. I can only wait for an opportunity. I have to be more careful next. I've angered this guy. Chen Xiang saw that Dong Lijun's expression was already equipped with a lot of equipment. Previously, it was cold and heartless, but now it looked to be filled with a tinge of anger. Just like before, he used the shrinking step to approach Dong Lijun. However, he did not attack, but pretended to attack from the front, and then dodged to Dong Lijun's side. He released a bit of 6 realms power and emitted a bit of qi. When Dong Lijun sensed it, he immediately turned his head and used his strange divine ability to control Chen Xiang's 6 realms power. At the same time, he flew over. This way, he could once again see the opponent's divine soul jumping out of the divine sense. He was confirming that the opponent had to release their divine soul out of the divine sense in order for them to be able to use their innate ability on him. This way, he could once again see the opponent's divine soul jumping out of the divine sense. He was confirming that the opponent had to release their divine soul out of the divine sense in order for them to be able to use their innate ability on him. Now, he was sure that after seeing a divine soul jump out from the other party's divine sense, the little bit of 6 realms power he released had been controlled. Chen Xiang did not want to attack Dong Lijun immediately, but to probe him out. Therefore, after he succeeded in doing so, he used the shrinking step to distance himself from Dong Lijun. Dong Lijun's prediction was wrong. Chen Xiang did not attack him, causing his 2 punches to miss. However, the air shock wave that exploded out still carried along an extremely terrifying power as it wreaked havoc on the stage. After the stage was covered by this power, it was like tofu being slashed by a sharp blade. There were many pieces of broken bones jumping about on the stage, which had a smooth surface. It was just like what devil-killing Heavenly G.O.D. said, this pure yang spirit power was as sharp as blades. This guy's power is so terrifying. As long as he releases this power, his body will be like a sharp blade, and he won't be able to attack his body at all. Right now, his body is covered in that kind of light. W.A.N.G. genes. H.I. Plus said. Chen Xiang is unable to use his mysterious power. Otherwise, that Dong fellow would not be his match. Bai Yu said. If Chen Xiang had used 6 realms power, his strength would definitely not be weak, and he would not be forced to such a state by the opponent. Even the experts of the devil-killing Heavenly G.O.D's side were trembling in fear as they watched the battle. If there was no barrier to protect them from the pure Yang divine spirit, once they flew out, they would definitely cause a lot of damage. They couldn't guide Chen Xiang either, because this was what was required of them under the contract. We can end it this time. Dong Lijun did not want to drag it out either. He already had some fear towards Chen Xiang in his heart, since Chen Xiang was a powerful enemy to him after all. He could not help but wish to quickly kill him. Chen Xiang immediately released the 6 realms power, and at the same time, stared at the other party's eyes. This time, he was still able to see the other party's divine soul jump out from the divine sense sea and release a burst of white light. When he saw the opponent's divine soul jump out, his eyes suddenly flashed with a white light, which was extremely weak and not obvious at all. However, in a flash, Dong Lijun suddenly stopped, and even cried out in pain, as his divine soul was under attack. The bones in Qin Xiang's eyes also possessed special powers. Just now, he had released all of the power of the bones in his eyes to attack the divine soul in Dong Lijun's divine sense sea. Now, Qin Xiang's divine sense sea that had been suppressed for a long time suddenly erupted into an uproar, the waves surging. The six realms' power was like a torrent as it rushed towards the four-flame divine deity inside his divine sense sea. After the flame divine deity had turned it into a flame power, it flowed into his left arm and right leg that possessed the double bone level. Dong Lijun was unable to suppress Qin Xiang's six realms power. He knew that he would be in danger, and his divine soul being attacked caused him endless pain. However, he still released a very strong pure yang energy to cover his entire body. Qin Xiang's fist did not directly hit his fist. It stopped 5 to 6 inches away from Dong Lijun's face, but it released a strong burst of force, which caused an earth-shaking explosion, and violent fire energy exploded out of his fist like a fiery red spring, Rus. Hi plus ing towards Dong Lijun's face. Dong Lijun's entire head was Hi T so hard that it crooked, and all the teeth and bones in his mouth shattered. After the punch, he then kicked Dong Lijun's abdomen, causing the meteor immortal power to explode and create a BLOODY hole. The layer of pure yang energy protecting Dong Lijun's body had already been scattered by the shockwave. Qin Xiang's fists continued to violently strike at Dong Lijun's head. At this moment, the other party's entire head was in a miserable state. El Devil Emperor saw that Dong Lijun was about to be beaten to death and anxiously said, "Qin Xiang, he is the most important person to divine nations." "So what?" Qin Xiang's fist flashed with fire as he condensed some divine deity and bones. It struck Dong Lijun's chest and turned the upper half of his opponent's body into dust. Qin Xiang had almost been killed a few times, so he would definitely not be merciful. Although the other party had not been fully prepared when he got on the stage, it was not his turn now. A pure yang divine body could release such a terrifying pure yang energy, but it was still destroyed by Qin Xiang. Dong Lijun only had half of his body remaining. Without even looking, he walked down the fighting stage. The entire place was in complete silence. Even after 3 consecutive rounds, he still looked so energetic, though he had not expended much energy. This showed that Qin Xiang was still hiding an extremely terrifying power, but it had not been revealed yet. "Since you have already lost, go ahead and follow the agreement. Withdraw your troops and let the 9 heaven world recover its peace," Qin Xiang said. Qin Xiang's strength had already exceeded his expectations, and made him feel that he might not be able to defeat Qin Xiang. What made him incredulous was, Qin Xiang only had 6 divine deity. Don't be happy too early. Qin Xiang has killed 2 outstanding people from the divine nations. He is just waiting for the divine nations to come take revenge. Maybe he will drag you guys into it. The El Devil Emperor laughed coldly and flew away with his men. Seeing that the El Devil Emperor had left, the spectators on the city wall immediately cheered. "Are you alright?" Devil-killing Heavenly God hurried over to Qin Xiang's side. Qin Xiang shook his head and smiled, saying, "Another round shouldn't be a problem. That guy just now was really dangerous, and almost died in his hands." The penalty Heavenly God said, "That guy should have bones as well. Coupled with his pure yang divine body, that's why he's so powerful. Even if I go up against him, I have to be careful. Otherwise, it'll be very easy for him to kill me. There shouldn't be many pure yang divine bodies, right?" Chen Xiang already had a shadow over this kind of power, luckily it had already been extinguished by him. There are very few 9 heaven worlds, almost none of them. However, I am not sure about that, but Dong Lijun has used his pure yang energy quite well. He is obviously being guided, I'm afraid he still has more. The devil-killing heavenly G.O.D. said, right now, we still have to be careful and watch out for the divine nations. We hope that the internal affairs of the divine nations and the others are getting more and more chaotic. Chen Xiang clenched his fists tightly and thought, divine nations, I need to become stronger before their internal conflict dies down. Otherwise, when facing such huge beings like them, I don't even have the strength to counterattack. How much time was left for him to prepare? He was not sure, he only knew that he had to work hard to cultivate in the future. HELL Devil Emperor had already brought the army and left. At that time, not only did HELL Devil Emperor and Gu Dongchen agree to the contract, the elders who were in charge of the demon army also aided as well, in order to prevent HELL Devil Emperor from being shameless. HELL Devil Emperor had already brought the army and left. At that time, not only did HELL Devil Emperor and Gu Dongchen agree to the contract, the elders who were in charge of the demon army also aided as well, in order to prevent HELL Devil Emperor from being shameless. Chen Xiang returned to the 100 Flowers Pavilion and directly went into his room to rest. Chen Xiang and the others were not surprised at all that he had won 3 rounds. It was because the Chen Xiang they were familiar with was one of them. After this Tian, many people who had always thought that they had some power would feel fear in their hearts, because the strength of the divine nations was truly frightening. The people from the 6th divine deity were already so strong, and amongst them, excluding Chen Xiang, no one could defeat Nie Lin. Even Gu Dongchen and the others had a complete understanding of the divine nations' strength. The elite experts of the divine nations were truly terrifying. If they were at the same level, it would be difficult for them to defeat him. Hence, the people who came after the match were all very heavy, especially the disciples of the big powers. If Chen Xiang was not present today, they would have definitely lost. At this moment, everyone had the same thought as Chen Xiang. If the 9 heaven world were to swallow the super G.O.D. realm in the future, and the internal strife of all the divine nations settle down, they wouldn't have enough strength to do anything, and could only allow themselves to be eaten by the divine nations. Although Chen Xiang did not consume much energy, and wasn't too tired either, he still felt an exhaustion that came from his mind. That was an enormous pressure. To actually kill Nie Lin and Dong Lijun meant that not long later, the strong power from the divine nations would come looking for him for revenge. If he did not have enough strength to resist, then not only would he be threatened by the life, even the people around him. I want to become stronger. After resting, I'll start my cultivation. Chen Xiang closed his eyes, allowing himself to enter a state of meditation. Chen Xiang had only rested for a short while. He felt that it would only take around 2 hours, but he was suddenly woken up by Yan Xilan. Chen Xiang, something big happened. Xian and the rest were taken away. Once Yan Xilan rushed in, he grabbed Chen Xiang's shoulder and shook it. When Chen Xiang heard that Shui Xian had something on his mind, he immediately opened his eyes. Who took him away? Chen Xiang bellowed. He was extremely furious. Looking at him, it was as if he was prepared to start a maw. As Saker, a few people suddenly appeared in his mind, such as the HELL Devil Emperor and the Fu Tian school. Divine nations. Yan Xilan said. Sister Qilian and the rest have already caught up. Those fellows are all very strong. They managed to crack the array formation of our Hundreds of Flowers village, directly charged into the manor of Xian and the others, sealed them in a storage magic treasure that can pretend to be human, and then ran away. Do you know what divine nations it is? Qin Xiang told himself to calm down as much as possible. This time, the divine nations didn't cause any harm, but directly grabbed him, with a purpose in mind. They directly rushed to the manor Xue Xianxian and the others were in, and took away all their smithing teams. It's the divine cauldron nation. Looking at her expression, it was obvious that she did not bring Xue Xianxian and the others back. Her face was filled with guilt, and behind her were Feng Yujie, Long Huishan, and Zhou Hanru. Xue Xianxian was Qin Xiang's wife, a childhood sweetheart. Their relations, Hi+P, was deep, and now that they were captured, LV Qilian, who had promised Qin Xiang many times before to protect Xue Xianxian and the others, felt extremely guilty right now as his head drooped. How did you know it was divine cauldron nation? Qin Xiang took a deep breath, trying his best to suppress his emotions. The ones who took them away were several women. When we were chasing them, one of them told me, "They are all very strong, and we are not their match at all." However, they did not attack us, but instead told us that if we wanted to save Xianxian and the others, we should go to the divine cauldron nation to look for clues. LV Qilian said, "When are you planning to go?" "I'll go with you." "I'll go too," Zhou Hanru said. "I have some understanding of the 9GODS nation, and my strength is not weak either. No need, you heir and I will go now. Given the current situation, Hundreds of Flowers Village cannot miss you too." Qin Xiang thought for a while, then said, "Qilian, quickly go back and pacify the women in your Hundreds of Flowers Village, so as to not cause them to panic. Moreover, this matter must be kept a secret, and you absolutely must not leak it out. Sister Feng, you need to refine more bone-level Dan, and you also need to refine these bone-level Dan, according to the person who eats them. After eating the bone-level Dan, it would be best to control the refining time to be around 6 hours, so that the opportunity to condense bones would appear easily." Qin Xiang said, "When you refine, you can use the compressed method. It is not exposing the medicine aura, but the quality of the bone-level Dan that has been compressed and adjusted." Feng Yujie nodded his head. "I will remember. I will tell Xiangyue and the others when I get back. When condensing bones, the body must also be strengthened appropriately. Whether or not Hundreds of Flowers Village can be strong in the future will depend on you alchemist S." At this time, Qin Xiang was extremely serious. The divine nations had already begun to act against them, and their goal was unknown, to the point that they could just casually SNATCH them away. "I have the latest news for you. I will think of a way to notify you guys. First, focus on cultivating and increasing your strength." Qin Xiang had originally planned to go to the Earth Core to cultivate, but he had to go to divine nations to do so. Xue Xianxian and the others were also a very important group in the Hundreds of Flowers Village. They were mainly responsible for refining and arranging arrays, as well as refining array disk. Previously, Qin Xiang relied on the Time Formations array disk to buy himself a lot of time. Qin Xiang left Hundred Flowers Pavilion and headed towards Heavenly Divine Lord to search for Great Divine Lord. Great Divine Lord was still in the simple wooden house. He seemed to be living a very quiet life, and he looked like he had aged a lot. Great Divine Lord remembered that the last time he had met Qin Xiang was only a few days, but this time, he felt that Qin Xiang had become much stronger. "I've heard about your 3 battles. Amazing." Great Divine Lord laughed. "You aren't here specifically to tell me this, are you? If you have something to say, just say it." "What kind of divine nations is he?" Qin Xiang sighed helplessly. "My wife was kidnapped by the divine cauldron nation." "Oh." Great Divine Lord frowned. The smile on his face had already disappeared, and his expression became very serious. "Are the people who took them away women? Younger 9 girl told you?" Qin Xiang asked. "How did you know, Great Divine Lord?" "It wasn't Xiao Jiu who told me, I guessed it." The Great Divine Lord said, "All the great divine nations are fighting amongst themselves now because they want to fight for the throne. The 9 Divine Lords all have a tacit agreement to leave together. Furthermore, before leaving, they did not appoint anyone to take over the throne, as it was to allow the most capable children to ascend to the throne. The 9 Divine Lords all had countless imperial harem and groups of women. Because they had inherited the bloodline of the Divine Lord and also because they were the royal family of the divine nations, they had a lot of resources. Thus, there were a lot of powerful princes and princesses. The 9 Divine Lords all had countless imperial harem and groups of women. Because they had inherited the bloodline of the Divine Lord and also because they were the royal family of the divine nations, they had a lot of resources. Thus, there were a lot of powerful princes and princesses. Great Divine Lord continued, back then, before our 9th heaven's divine nations was annihilated, I already knew about Divine Cauldron Supreme Lord's secret. This was naturally what my royal father had told us. The reason why it was called Divine Cauldron Nation was because Divine Cauldron Supreme Lord had obtained a very mysterious cauldron. Of course, the cauldron that he showed others to look at is one that he has refined himself. Although it is also very strong, it is still far inferior to the cauldron that he had mysteriously obtained. Back then, my royal father had a secret battle with him. Back then, in the distant starry sky, other than the 2 of them, no one else knew about this matter. During the battle, because my royal father's strength was too strong, he forced Divine Cauldron Supreme Lord to use the cauldron he obtained from his secret. And the last? Has Heavenly Divine Lord won? Seeing that Great Divine Lord had stopped, Chen Xiang anxiously asked. My royal father lost miserably, but it was difficult for even the 9 Furnace Great Emperor to win, so his mysterious cauldron was destroyed by my royal father using his heavenly magic sword. You must know that the heavenly magic sword is my royal father's strongest divine weapon, because when it fought against the divine cauldron, the divine sword was completely destroyed. Back then, it was precisely because of this divine sword that my royal father made the other divine lord apprehensive. Therefore, after the news of his divine sword being destroyed spread out, we, the divine nations of the 9th heaven, had begun to embark on the road of annihilation. Great Divine Lord looked at the sky and sighed. Originally, my royal father and my Divine Cauldron Supreme Lord were good friends, but in order to maintain that attitude, they ended up like this. Chen Xiang never thought that there would actually be such a story behind the destruction of divine nations of the 9th heaven. Because the cauldron was destroyed, Divine Cauldron Supreme Lord harbored hatred within his heart and told me about the heavenly magic sword being destroyed, right? Chen Xiang asked. That's right. The heavenly magic sword was completely destroyed, but that divine cauldron of his was not completely destroyed. My royal father had also promised to repair it, so my royal father traveled everywhere, even went to the Star Law Divine Realm, searched for materials, and then went into closed-door cultivation day and night just to fix that cauldron. But who would have known that the Divine Cauldron Supreme Lord would reveal the destruction of the heavenly magic sword for some reason? Great Divine Lord said this with a face full of anger. Great Divine Lord, are you sure that this was leaked from the Divine Cauldron Supreme Lord? Chen Xiang asked. My royal father said, other than the Divine Cauldron Supreme Lord, no one else knows about this matter. They had previously agreed to keep it a secret. Great Divine Lord suddenly took a deep breath. This is not right. What's wrong? Didn't join in to besiege you guys. Chen Xiang was going to the Divine Cauldron Nation right now, so he needed to know a few things about there. I did, but he did not attack. You can see that he doesn't really want to destroy our heavenly divine palace. Could it be that there is another story behind this? It's a pity that I don't have the chance to ask any further. 9 Divine Lords should be searching for the way of immortality. Great Divine Lord looked at Chen Xiang. If you have the chance, investigate me thoroughly. Chen Xiang nodded. Get down to business. Divine Cauldron Supreme Lord's cauldron is broken, it has lost its strongest power, and is no different from a piece of trash. But my royal father said before, as long as we repair that small damaged area, the cauldron would recover its original strength. The great divine lord said. Could it be that the reason they took Xian Xian away was to repair that cauldron? Chen Xiang suddenly exclaimed. Shui Xian Xian and the others mastered the refining techniques of the heavenly divine lord. Back then, Chen Xiang had told great divine lord that his profound Wu clothing had been repaired by his wife. That was why great divine lord had immediately thought of this when Chen Xiang mentioned that his wife had been taken away. They came from the divine cauldron nation, they should have told you. So, your wives are in no danger now. Great divine lord patted Chen Xiang's shoulder. Then how did you know they were women, great divine lord? Chen Xiang asked. Because I know that the young girl who was chosen by divine cauldron supreme lord's first wife dotes on this little girl, and this little girl also has outstanding abilities. Forget about her power, she also has good relations, HI+PS with other people, if not, just based on the fact that she was doted on by the divine cauldron supreme lord, she would be able to cause many women in the harem to be jealous. Great divine lord laughed at himself. Back then, my royal father also had many wives, but in the end, not many could survive. My mother also died in obscurity, while my royal father silently allowed this kind of struggle, and us 9 brothers have always known how to unite, so we were the only ones who could survive to the end. Now that the great divine lord was the last prince of the 9th heaven, and he couldn't return to his country, and his brothers had all died, Chen Xiang inexplicably felt that he was very pitiful. Divine Cauldron Supreme Lord's daughter obtained this cauldron, but she doesn't know where it came from. I had seen her play with it before, at that time I also didn't know, but it was my royal father who told me later. Divine Cauldron Supreme Lord was probably the last one to tell her, and she found out from who knows where that the reason why your wives took them away was because they received my royal father's inheritance of artifact forging. The great divine lord said, "It's very obvious now. She wants to fight for the divine cauldron nation's throne, but her strength is not enough. If she can repair this cauldron, then the divine cauldron nation's throne would be confirmed." Chen Xiang said, "Regardless of who it is, all the great divine nations cannot avoid a bloodbath." Great divine lord nodded his head. "This is inevitable. The one who inherits the throne, in order for the throne to be stable, must be rid of his potential enemies. Even if these people are very outstanding, they must be cleansed. If you want to survive in the 9 divine lords' imperial harem, you have to depend on the prince or royal daughter, or even some of the divine lords' wives. Over time, many forces will be formed, and if you go to the back and stand in the wrong line, you will be purged." He understood this kind of thing very well because he had also snuck in like this back then. As the great divine lord, the eldest son of the heavenly divine lord, he naturally held a very strong force in the imperial harem, and his enemies were often his blood-related brothers and sisters. "Great divine lord, what do you know about this daughter of divine cauldron supreme lord? What kind of person is she?" Chen Xiang started to worry about Shui Xianxian again. Those who grew up in the harem, which one of them were not vicious and merciless people. This was all honed, otherwise it would have been impossible for him to grow at all. "I'm not sure. When I met her, she was very good at hiding her personality. Furthermore, many years have passed said in such an environment, so it is not strange that a person's character would undergo such a great change." Great divine lord shook his head. The relations H.I. plus P between divine cauldron supreme lord and him was not bad, so it was normal for their children to know each other. Chen Xiang felt that the great divine lord must know a lot about the divine cauldron supreme lord's daughter. The relations H.I. plus P between divine cauldron supreme lord and him was not bad, so it was normal for their children to know each other. Chen Xiang felt that the great divine lord must know a lot about the divine cauldron supreme lord's daughter. "I'm going to find her," Chen Xiang said. "I want to make sure that my wife is safe." "To the divine nations? You will first have to go to the Super God realm, and then use the Super God realm to head there. The White Tiger is probably in Super God realm, so I'll just let them help you when the time comes. Great Divine Lord took out a shabby-looking stone and said, "This thing might be useful, so I'm not afraid of your jokes." Back then, I tried to pursue her. Chen Xiang took the stone, and it seemed as if there were some spirit grain carved on it. He laughed. "Did you not succeed in the end? Is it sad?" After all, the reason why I pursued her was only to increase my power. After all, she was also the famous royal daughter of the 10 divine nations back then, and regardless of whether or not she liked it, as a man, he wanted to capture an outstanding woman like her. This was equivalent to displaying his own strength. Great Divine Lord laughed sinisterly. Chen Xiang could tell that he was an expert in this field with a single glance. Although she didn't succeed, we still have a bit of friends. Hi+P. Hopefully she still remembers it. Great Divine Lord sighed. This is something that happened a long time ago and can only be remembered by me now. She should be much stronger than me now, and he will soon disappear from this world with the passage of time. Great Divine Lord, you must find a way to live forever. Don't give up, Chen Xiang said. Great Divine Lord smiled calmly. I don't have any lingering feelings for this world anymore. The biggest reason I want to create this heavenly Divine Lord is to remember this memory. Don't you want to return? Chen Xiang's voice was a little loud and his emotions stirred. I do, but time does not spare me. I cannot defeat time. Great Divine Lord sighed. My 8 brothers have placed all their hopes of restoring their country on me, but I am unable to do so. I'll help you. Chen Xiang pressed down on his shoulder and firmly said those 3 words. Although he was not strong at the moment, he felt that he was qualified to say it. I will tell you about this when I save my wife. Chen Xiang stood up. In the process of his growth, he was inextricably linked to both the 9 divine kings and himself. He could not just watch the Great Divine Lord sink into depression like this. Great Divine Lord didn't say anything, he only looked at Chen Xiang with a grateful gaze. He was very clear what kind of heavy pressure Chen Xiang would have to bear if he said those 2 words. Do you want to know why I care so much about this woman? I don't love her, I don't like her, I even hate her. Great Divine Lord looked at the stone in Chen Xiang's hand. This stone was obviously a keepsake from him and the Divine Cauldron Supreme Lord's daughter. Yes. Great Divine Lord laughed at himself. Because she is a woman that I am unable to take down, I have a deep impression of her. However, I can't remember a single one of the women that threw themselves at me. This is truly ironic. Great Divine Lord. Chen Xiang was interrupted by Great Divine Lord raising his hand. My full name is Jiao Tsanghai. Even though I don't like this name, it was given to me by my royal father. Even if I don't like it, I can only accept it. Jiao Tsanghai laughed. You can call me Big Brother Tsanghai, but if others are here, you can't call me that. Even Feng Yujie and Zhou Hanru didn't know his name, so it could be seen that he really didn't like it much, so he didn't say it. I'll send you to the Super God realm. If you stay there for too long, you should be able to see the 9 heaven world annexing the Super God realm very quickly. Jiao Tsanghai channeled his energy and opened a dimensional door. Let's go. You must be careful when you head to the Divine Cauldron Nation, and don't expose the taboo magic on his body. Jiao Tsanghai said. I got it. Chen Xiang said. I'm going to find Yue. I'll be more at ease with her by my side. Chen Xiang immediately teleported to the Hundreds of Flowers village, found Yue, returned here, and stepped into that spatial gate. In the blink of an eye, Chen Xiang had once again arrived at Super God realm. Yue, where is the God Beast Mountain? Chen Xiang asked as she looked at Yue, who was in her arms. Yue, who was sleeping soundly, was suddenly grabbed by him, and before she could even understand what was happening, She was already in Super G.O.D realm. What happened? Yu Er's nose twitched, as if she had already sensed that this was the Super G.O.D realm. A lot of things have happened. I want to make a trip to the Divine Nations, so I have to go to the G.O.D Beast Mountain. I need the help of White Tiger and the others to send me over. Just as Chen Xiang finished speaking, a group of spirit grains appeared above him. After they quickly gathered in a large formation, an elder fell. Master! Just as Chen Xiang finished shouting, he realized that he had admitted his wrongs. This was not his master Huang Jintian, but her brother, Huang Yantian. The two of them looked very similar to each other. They looked exactly the same, and they also had similar personalities. Uncle! Chen Xiang shouted again. Although he was not Huang Jintian, he was still pleasantly surprised. Why are you here? Isn't it easy to find you, kid? I already know where you are by the count of one. I did have something to talk to you about, but since you were at 9 Heaven World before, I was too lazy to go over. So the moment you appeared here, I came over immediately. Huang Yantian said. It's definitely not a big matter. Otherwise, you wouldn't be waiting for me. Chen Xiang curled his lips. You must have waited for me for a long time here. As he spoke till here, Chen Xiang finally remembered that the time there was different from here. It shouldn't be long here. It's only for a few days. I was considering whether or not I should go to 9 Heaven World. I didn't expect you to come. Right, what are you doing here? Isn't that a good place to stay? Huang Yantian asked, and then touched Yu Er. Right now, he already knew that Yu Er was related to him. I'm going to the Divine Cauldron Nation. Can you take me there? Senior Master must be stronger than my master, so such a small matter must be really easy for you. Chen Xiang laughed. Bulls. H.I+T. This kind of thing is as easy as breathing to me. Isn't it just going to a Divine Nations? How hard it was. That good-for-nothing brother of mine definitely has to go through a lot of trouble to get there. Huang Yantian immediately snorted and said proudly. Okay, to go to Divine Cauldron Nation, it will take about 5 hours. Huang Yantian took out a big basin. It looked like a wooden shed for bathing. It was big enough for a few people to sit in. What is this? It doesn't seem that powerful. Chen Xiang jumped in. Not powerful? This is the Sky Spill Divine Plate. It looks a bit strange, but it's actually very powerful. Huang Yantian said proudly. Settle down, get ready to go. He then activated the Divine Disc. Once the disc formed an air S.H.I+ELD, it slowly rose up and then flew up into the sky. As Chen Xiang sat inside the basin-like object, he had the urge to fill it up with water to soak in a bath. As Chen Xiang sat inside the basin-like object, he had the urge to fill it up with water to soak in a bath. Is Divine Cauldron Nation very far from here? With Senior Master's strength, you actually took such a long time to get there. While Chen Xiang was speaking, the surroundings became pitch black, and in the distance, there was a huge fireball releasing a strong light. It was the scorching sun, and they were already far away from the ground. A few hours is considered fast. If you go to Divine Cauldron Nation yourself, you might not even make it in a few days. Huang Yantian pointed to a small dot of light in the sky and said, Divine Cauldron Nation is right on top of that huge star. Chen Xiang turned his head to look in the direction he was pointing. He simply did not know that he was talking about that star, because there was such a large, densely packed star over there. Senior Master, do you understand Divine Cauldron Nation? Didn't you go to Heavenly Fire Divine Country before? Chen Xiang asked. Since Huang Yantian knew how to go to the Divine Cauldron Nation, then he must know more about the Divine Cauldron. I've only been there once, and it's no different from Super G.O.D realm. The only difference is that there are more experts there, and they have a lot of resources. This is better than Super G.O.D realm. Huang Yantian said, Why are you going to the Divine Cauldron Nation? Huang Yantian did not ask before, but when he saw that Chen Xiang was in a hurry to go to the Divine Cauldron Nation, he took out his powerful sky-spill divine plate. Now, he was somewhat curious as well. My wife has been taken away. I'm going to save them. Chen Xiang said with a face full of helplessness and anger. These fellows are casually taking away my wife. I'm not done with them. So serious. Can you tell me the details? Huang Yantian asked. Do you know who took your wife away? There has to be a direction. The Divine Cauldron Nation is so big, and has many big and small forces. It's a woman, and should be one of the daughters of the Divine Cauldron Nation's great emperor. I heard that she has quite a decent power, and has the chance to fight for the throne of the Divine Cauldron Nation. Chen Xiang said. Huang Yantian frowned. If that's the case, then it's also a useful clue, but you need to be clear. People like them cannot be easily approached. To be able to fight for the position of emperor, all of them are existences close to the pinnacle. The weakest would be the God king. Yue asked, how many divine deity does the divine king usually have? Huang Yantian thought for a while. At least 70 divine deity. But don't think that the divine king is already very strong. In the divine nations, below the divine lord, the divine king is not the strongest. The divine kings are usually sealed within the divine nations. There are a total of 2 types of divine kings. One is related to the divine lord by blood. After reaching a certain level of strength, one can pass the divine lord's personal assessment and obtain the title and territory and become the divine king. The other option was to be loyal to a divine nations once one reached a certain level of strength, and pass the divine nations' examination to become a divine king. There wasn't much difference between these 2 types of celestial kings. Generally, they were divided into the first, second, and third ranks. Among them, the first-tier divine king is the strongest, and has to have at least 90 divine deity. Chen Xiang never thought that Jiao Tsanghai, this great divine lord, would be so powerful that he already possessed 90 divine deity. This was because Jiao Tsanghai was a person who was close to the peak of 100 divine deity, but even so, he was still so depressed, and felt that it was impossible to restore his country. Reaching the 90th divine deity is going to be very difficult, and there are many old people who would die at this stage in Star Law Divine Realm. Yue replied. Other than that kind of powerful world, wanting to reach the peak of 100 GODS level is extremely difficult. Huang Yantian nodded. After 9 divine lords leaves, it will be the world to the divine kings within all the divine nations. Don't we still have great national masters? Chen Xiang had heard Jiao Tsanghai say before that the ones who had caused the deaths of the 8 divine kings were the great national masters from the divine nations. If the great national master does not partake 1 8 in the struggle, the ones to obtain the throne must be the descendants of the divine lord. The great national master does not matter who the divine nations is, they will always be loyal to the divine nations. The great national master is also the last guarantee for the latter. Huang Yantian said. For example, if there are some fellows that want to split a divine nations, then the great national master will make a move, because this is already a threat to the life and death of the divine nations. Yue said. If they can fight for the throne, they must be a first-tier divine king. That's right, only with this kind of strength will he be able to suppress it. After becoming a divine lord, gather the resources from a country and rush to the peak of the 100 GODS level. At that time, his position will be even more solid. Huang Yantian said. Of course, the greatest benefit is obtaining the thing left behind by the old divine lord. As for what it is, I don't know. In short, making the successor stronger, suppressing the great national master. Chen Xiang never thought that the succession of divine nations would be so complicated, and now, this was the first time these 9 divine nations had experienced such a thing, which coincidentally happened to be the case. As they spoke, they had already said through many small stars. There weren't any resources on them, and the environment was very vile. Those who possessed resources had long since been taken over. The heavenly fire divine country that I went to previously was terrible. They have already started fighting there. A few level 1 divine kings are leading a large group of people into a chaotic battle. It's very BLOODY. Huang Yantian looked at Divine Cauldron Nation. According to the information I gathered from Heavenly Fire Divine Country, the situation in Divine Cauldron Nation is the best. Senior Master, if you go to Heavenly Fire Divine Country, you will definitely earn a lot of wealth for the dead. Chen Xiang laughed. Huang Yantian laughed. That's right. Just like Huang Jintian, if a huge battle were to break out there, his figure would appear. Several hours later, Chen Xiang finally saw a gigantic blue star in front of him. Under the intense sunlight, it reflected a beautiful blue light, which was extremely huge. It's just an Earth stage star. In the Star Law Divine Realm, this star is everywhere. Yue replied, if I can reach the star realms of Heaven stage in the future, I can compete with Star Law Divine Realm. Huang Yantian laughed and said, this is a new world, we need to take it slow. 9 Heaven World is a very special existence. It is not a star, but a giant floating square continent. When I was in Star Law Divine Realm back then, I had never heard of such a spatial composition. Chen Xiang asked, is an Earth-ranked star not good? Are there many in this place? It's the best in this star field. There are 3 levels of stars that can be inhabited. The Heaven stage stars S are the highest, then the Earth stage, and the worst are the profound rank stars. However, in this kind of place, profound rank stars are extremely rare. Yue surveyed her surroundings. Most of them are those kind of dead stars. When the sky spill divine plate approached the divine cauldron star, one could see that a transparent barrier was covering the entire divine cauldron star. This was definitely to prevent the other stars from colliding with it. When the sky spill divine plate approached the divine cauldron star, one could see that a transparent barrier was covering the entire divine cauldron star. This was definitely to prevent the other stars from colliding with it. Huang Yantian controlled his divine compa S to fly around the stars for a distance and found an entrance. There was a huge door at the entrance, and at the moment, there were many people lining up on their flying treasures to enter the divine cauldron star. These are all from other planets. Most of them are merchants. Huang Yantian said, strange, to be able to create a barrier that can cover such a huge star, it shouldn't be too difficult to create a transmission array, right? Chen Xiang said. It's very difficult. The distance between the stars is different from when you're on the ground. Look at how big this divine cauldron star is. You will need many years to complete a circle if you were to run at full speed on it. So, can you imagine how far away the divine cauldron star is from the other stars? Even if you look at this divine cauldron star from afar, it will only be a small dot. Yue said. She was a law enforcer from the Star Law Divine Realm, and she often traveled between various stars, so she was the most knowledgeable about these things. Huang Yantian smiled and said, the distance between here and the Super G.O.D. realm can be separated by thousands of such huge Earth-stage stars S, and this is the smallest estimate, so you can imagine how far it is. Now, Chen Xiang finally understood why Huang Yantian said that his sky spill God plate was so powerful. Chen Xiang thought about it and confirmed that it was very powerful. Huang Yantian looked at the people in front of him and couldn't help but shake his head, because he still had to wait for a while. He said, when I was in Heavenly Fire Divine Country, I heard a legend. Chen Xiang had previously heard that the relations Hi+P between the Heavenly Divine Lord and the Divine Cauldron Supreme Lord was not bad, so he felt that this legend was very believable. Finally, it was Chen Xiang's turn. The guard took a look at the sky spill divine plate and said, 300,000 Shin Yuan stone. Why 300,000? There's only 2 of us. Huang Yantian immediately said in dissatisfaction. This cat counts. Are you going to give it to me? If you don't hurry up and get out, there's still a lot of people waiting in line behind us, the big guy said impatiently. Although Huang Yantian was very unhappy, he still took out 300,000 Shin Yuan stone and gave it to the other party. As long as there are Shin Yuan stones, there won't be any hindrances in entering these divine nations. Yue tenderly snorted. Isn't it just an Earth stage star? The price is so expensive, if it was in Star Law Divine Realm, I wouldn't even be bothered to go. Forget it, isn't it just a little Shin Yuan stone? Huang Yantian caressed Yue, chuckling. Senior Master, you're so much more generous than Master. That guy is always calculating. Chen Xiang said. He did not think that Huang Yantian was actually not as stingy as him. Huang Yantian laughed proudly. That guy is still the same, I wonder how he is now. Landing on the ground, Huang Yantian brought Chen Xiang to the nearest city. After entering the city gates, he paid the 20,000 Shin Yuan stone, and then walked towards the transmission array. To the Divine Tripod Imperial City? The transfer fee for the 2 of you to enter the city would total to 400,000, and this cat would cost 100,000, a total of 500,000. The old man looked at Yue, who was in Chen Xiang's embrace, and shouted. Huang Yantian took out 500,000 Shin Yuan stone, and only after handing them over to the old man was he allowed to step into the transmission array. Chen Xiang never thought that Shin Yuan stone would be exhausted so quickly in this kind of place. They had only just arrived and Huang Yantian had already used 800,000. Huang Yantian seemed to be already used to it, so he didn't complain about it. However, Yue was very unhappy as she saw it, this kind of PPY place basically did not require any fees. When the transmission array opened, in the blink of an eye, Chen Xiang and the others had already arrived at the 9 Tripod Imperial City. After arriving at the place, Chen Xiang finally understood how peaceful it was and that the other divine nations had all gotten into an uproar. That was why all the merchants of the other divine nations had come here, because it was now peaceful in the Divine Cauldron Nation. However, an extremely tense atmosphere enveloped the entire Divine Tripod City. Everyone here was very clear that battles were unavoidable. They only hoped that when fighting for the throne, it wouldn't bring about too much of a disaster. Chen Xiang came here to save others, so he did not have the time to wander around. Kid, can you do it by yourself? If it's possible, I won't accompany you any longer. After you're done with this matter, come find me again. I have some things to tell you. Huang Yantian Pas, said Chen Xiang, a piece of communication jade symbol paper. Yes, Martial Uncle, I'm very grateful that you brought me here. You have your own matters to attend to, so go and busy yourself first. Chen Xiang said. Huang Yantian patted Chen Xiang's shoulder, then stepped into the transmission array and left. He was still in the Divine Cauldron Star, looks like he had other things to do here. As Chen Xiang walked out of the transmitting square, he looked at the bustling streets and couldn't help but sigh. This place was indeed stronger than the Super God realm and the 9 Heaven world. He swept his eyes across the entrance of the transmitting square and found a few youth. These youths were usually there as guides to guide the people who had just arrived and provide them with some information about the Divine Tripod Imperial City. Just then, a skinny boy noticed him and Chen Xiang immediately waved at him. Just as that skinny boy was about to run over, a few youths near him ran over like a swarm of bees, running in front of him. Seeing that his business had been SNATC head away, the skinny boy could only hang his head in disappointment and return to his original spot. Chen Xiang did not pay attention to the group of youths who came first, but instead walked towards the skinny and weak youth. He could tell that even though this youth looked small and skinny, He was still extremely quick-witted, otherwise, he would not have discovered that he needed a guide the first thing. "How much will it cost?" Chen Xiang asked after walking over. Seeing Chen Xiang walking over, and even asking for the price, the skinny young man immediately stood up and spoke with strength. 10 Shin Yuan stone a day, 90 in 10 days. Okay, deal. Chen Xiang smiled at him slightly. I am Dong. How many days do you need me to take for? The teenager politely smiled back. When the other teenagers saw this, they immediately ran over. One of them was a bit stronger and dressed well, and one of them said, Dong, what are you doing here? You don't know anything about Divine Tripod Imperial City. Get lost quickly, don't embarrass yourself here. The fee is so low, at least 100 Shin Yuan stone a day. Do you want others to think that the guides of our Divine Tripod City are all cheap? This youth scolded at Dong, and just as he was about to slap Dong dodged immediately. His reaction was extremely fast. Chen Xiang moved very quickly, grabbing onto the youth's wrist, and said with a cold face, Don't go too far. What if I want Dong to be my guide? I give him 1,000 Shin Yuan stone a day. What can you do about it? The young man was grabbed by Chen Xiang very painfully. His face was flushed red, and he was also in shock, but he shouted instead, You, a foreigner, don't know our rules? Attacking in front of the street is courting death. The young man was grabbed by Chen Xiang very painfully. His face was flushed red, and he was also in shock, but he shouted instead, You, a foreigner, don't know our rules? Attacking in front of the street is courting death. Big brother, let him go. Dong anxiously pulled on Chen Xiang's clothes. He is Murong Tian's man. It would be bad if Murong Tian did not find him. When Chen Xiang let go of the youth, he had even strongly pushed him, causing him to fall on his butt. The youth instantly cried, his face full of hatred, and even clamored for someone to take care of Chen Xiang. Chen Xiang hated people who relied on others the most. Dong, take me to this pill shop to take a look. Chen Xiang said, then handed over a storage bag, with 3,000 Shin Yuan stone inside. When Dong saw it, he was so shocked that he couldn't move anymore. He never thought that Chen Xiang would really give him this many Shin Yuan stone. Brother, didn't you overdo it? I only accept 10 Shin Yuan stone for 1 day. Dong said, How many days did you give them to me? 3 days. Chen Xiang smiled at him, then patted his head. Hurry up and go, I'll give as much as I can previously, you better not refuse me. This is equivalent to forcing me to lie, I will be angry. Dong was extremely moved. When he saw Yuer who stuck her head out from Chen Xiang's backpack, he couldn't help but reach out to touch her. Thank you, big brother, you are really a good person. This little kitten is so cute and beautiful, I have never seen such a pretty little kitten. Yuer was extremely happy to be praised. She mewed a few times, then returned to her backpack. Dong brought Chen Xiang and headed towards the medicine store. He knew that Chen Xiang was definitely very powerful and of high status, but he never thought that this kind of person would actually be so approachable, unlike those famous aristocrats he had encountered. Dong, what's the situation in the Divine Cauldron Imperial City? Chen Xiang asked. He had originally only been asking casually, and didn't really expect this kind of youth to tell him anything useful. However, Dong's following words caused him to be slightly shocked. Not bad. The dozen or so first-tier divine kings in the Divine Cauldron Nation have all made a preliminary agreement. They are going to find the smallest way to determine the owners, Hi+P of the throne. At that time, there will be no BLOODY purges, and no cruel battle for the throne will erupt before the BLOODY purges. Dong said. Is that true? Chen Xiang asked. If that was really the case, then after the decision to become the emperor of the Divine Cauldron Nation was made, the power that the Divine Cauldron Nation retained would be the strongest. It's true, This is something released by the General Director of Imperial Nine Palace, it must be true. Dong said, "Don't underestimate me, I'm very well informed." Dong looked at Chen Xiang's bag and asked softly, "Big brother, that kitten is very special, and very powerful. I can feel it, but to be honest, I have a special ability that allows me to communicate with all kinds of small animals, so I can get the latest news from these small animals. Because Big Brother is a good person, that's why I told you." Chen Xiang suddenly felt that his 3,000 Shen Yuan Stone were not for nothing. Dong's abilities were indeed very strong, because when he was walking on the road, he already saw many little birds and monkeys scattered all over the place. These small animals were not expelled, and that whatever Imperial Nine Palace must have some of these little animals. "What kind of place is the Imperial Nine Palace?" Chen Xiang asked. "It's precisely the Imperial Palace. There's a total of 9 great palaces, and the Imperial Nine Palace's General Director is a third-rank Divine King. The words he says are definitely true." Dong said, "And all the first-tier Divine Kings who had the power to fight for the throne are within the Imperial Nine Palace. Originally there were 15, but for some reason more than half of them retreated." Chen Xiang nodded. "Did those retreating Divine Kings secretly support the other Divine Kings?" Dong shook his head. "No, the reason they left was to prevent their own people from getting settled. When they withdrew, they all said that they would be loyal to the new Divine Cauldron Supreme Lord." Suddenly, Chen Xiang felt that this Divine Cauldron nation was different from the others. The other Divine Nations had started to fighting to the death with each other, but this Divine Cauldron nation was able to sit down and talk about who should hold the throne. He felt that this might be related to the influence of the Divine Cauldron Supreme Lord. The Divine Cauldron Supreme Lord had many secrets, and it was still a mystery whether or not he had told everyone the secrets of the Heavenly Divine Lord. Amongst these 7 first-tier God kings, are there any God kings? Chen Xiang asked. "Yes, this God king is amazing. Big brother, you must have heard of her, right? Her name has shocked the entire 9 Gods nation, and after so many years, this time, many people think that she might very well become a female Divine Lord." Dong said, I came out of the mountains. I've never heard of it." Chen Xiang smiled awkwardly. "Can you tell me how powerful this Gods king is?" "Her name is Xiao Yulan. She has a very powerful heavenly jade divine cauldron, so her divine king Tli is also called Jade Cauldron Divine King. Although she has a very powerful divine cauldron, her divine cauldron isn't for refining nor refining pills, it's for killing people." Dong said, "What she did shocked the most was during the compet. One tie-in between Divine Nations and Divine Nations' princes and daughters. Because she was taken advantage of by the other party, she became so angry that she directly blasted the other party to death. The person who was killed was a first-tier celestial king, and one that was extremely famous. He was a heavyweight of a major power. Although the Divine Lords of the 2 great divine nations knew about this matter, they would not interfere in matters concerning the younger generation. After that, Xiao Yulan had a conflict with the Divine King's power and he destroyed all of them by himself. Yes, that Divine Nations is called Divine Nations Jiang. How powerful! This meant that she had a great advantage, while fighting for the position of emperor, but why did she need to capture Xue Xianxian and the others to repair that damaged cauldron? Chen Xiang thought about it carefully and he couldn't help but be shocked. He felt that there was only one possibility, and that was that Xiao Yulan wanted to borrow the cauldron left by the Divine Cauldron Supreme Lord to fight against the other Divine Nations. The other Divine Nations were currently in a state of chaos. Even if a new Divine Lord was created, one of them would be severely injured, and the one who was more difficult to deal with would be the other party's great national master. However, if she was able to repair that cauldron and increase Xiao Yulan's power, it was not impossible for her to eliminate the other divine nations. What a scary woman! Chen Xiang felt that he could guess correctly. Adong brought Chen Xiang to a pill shop that had a smaller shop. The decorations of the shop were very normal, but very lively. Chen Xiang went in to take a look, and found out the reason why the shop was bustling, because the pills that were sold here were all of a lower quality and of a lower quality, but the price was very cheap, and were welcomed by some of the poorer people. Adong brought Chen Xiang to a pill shop that had a smaller shop. The decorations of the shop were very normal, but very lively. Chen Xiang went in to take a look, and found out the reason why the shop was bustling, because the pills that were sold here were all of a lower quality and of a lower quality, but the price was very cheap, and were welcomed by some of the poorer people. Chen Xiang judged from the pills being sold here that divine pills were relatively expensive even in the 9G ODS nation, especially those with good quality. As for the high-quality divine pills, even if the shop didn't have them, he couldn't refer to them. Dong, is there any way to enter the Imperial Nine Palace? I want to meet that Xiao Yulan. After Chen Xiang walked out of the shop, he said to Dong in a low voice. Dong was slightly shocked as he shook his head. It's very difficult to find a divine king like him would only show up once or twice. Many powerful Supreme G.O.D.S. would find it hard to even meet this sort of G.O.D. king, much less us. Unless a divine king-level expert introduces her, it is impossible to see her. As Dong was speaking, he saw a few youths bringing a large group of people as they aggressively walked forward. These youths were the ones that were bullying Dong earlier, and one of them had even been forcefully grabbed by Chen Xiang by the arm. It's Murong Tian, Dong said as he pulled Chen Xiang along. Big brother, let's quickly run. Murong Tian is not someone to be trifled with. With his 9 divine deity, all he is missing is a supreme G.O.D. pellet to condense the 10th divine deity and step into the realm of the supreme G.O.D. We didn't do anything shameful, why do we have to run? They are bullying people, yet they are still looking for a backer. This is completely unreasonable, so there is no need for us to be afraid of them. Chen Xiang looked at Murong Tian. This Murong Tian was a youth. He had a white and delicate pointy face. The clothes he was wearing all looked to be very good materials. It was the more expensive type. I could tell that he was relatively rich. That's him. The youth whom Chen Xiang had caught pointed at Chen Xiang from afar and loudly shouted, Boss Murong, this guy is extremely arrogant and does not place you in his eyes at all. Chen Xiang wore a very simple set of black clothes. His skin was a little black, and he looked tall and wide. Even though his face was extremely handsome, in Murong Tian's eyes, he was far less handsome than himself. Dong, I heard that you broke the rules again, so your asking price is lower than ours. Is my skin itchy? Come over here and let me teach you a lesson so that you can remember better. Murong Tian walked over quickly and said fiercely to Dong. Dong clenched his teeth and was about to walk over, but Chen Xiang suddenly stopped him on his shoulder, and after being pressed down, he was unable to move. He wanted to walk over, but was unable to do so. Big brother, let me. Dong, I remember you have a grandmother who is about to enter the coffin. A youth said with a sneer. Do you want her to die faster? Chen Xiang frowned, anger rising. These people actually threatened Dong. Dong was weak to begin with, and he could not snatch away other youths. In addition, if he wanted to earn Shen Yuan Stone S, he would have to be a lot lower than others. But Murong Tian did not allow his price to be lower than these youths. Big brother, my grandmother is my only family, so just let me go, and I will return the Shen Yuan Stone to you. Dong said as he clenched his teeth. He knew that Chen Xiang was a good person, but he didn't want Chen Xiang to offend Murong Tian for him. After all, Chen Xiang had just arrived at this unfamiliar place, Provoking the evil bullies here would only harm him for the future. Chen Xiang still pressed him down, and did not let him walk over. She coldly swept a few of the youths with her gaze, and then looked at Murong Tian. How did Ah Dong provoke you guys? Why did you bully him like that? If you are human, you should help him, not bully him like this. When Ah Dong works in my territory, if he broke the rules, he would be punished. It's none of your business. Although Murong Tian saw the ice-cold expression on his face, he wasn't afraid at all. This was because he felt that he had some face here, and furthermore, he had brought a few people with him. Get Ah Dong to come over and beat us up, or you will be beaten to a pulp. A young man shouted. It was obvious that they often bullied people and were already used to being domineering. Chen Xiang coldly snorted and used the power of S.P.A.C. He teleported the speaking youth right in front of him and then sent him flying with a slap to the face. Chen Xiang's body struck the other youths and knocked them all down. I never talk nonsense when I want to hit people, especially people like you who want to hit me. Chen Xiang's voice carried a tone filled with anger. The teenager who was slapped by him did not faint, but his entire face was ruined. He covered his face and screamed in pain. You hit my people, you're courting death. Murong Tian felt that his dignity had been tamed, and he actually dared to hit his subordinates in front of him. Just a moment ago, they saw that Chen Xiang had revealed a move and felt that Chen Xiang's skills were not bad, and the people who had been around often also had a better understanding of Murong Tian. They were very curious, who exactly was so reckless and dared to provoke Murong Tian. Just as Murong Tian took a step forward, his vision suddenly darkened, and he appeared in front of Chen Xiang. He was very clear that Chen Xiang was using spatial energy, but he did not expect that he would actually be so easily controlled by someone else. It could be said that the other party had quite the strength, and he originally thought that the youth was too weak, so he was taken over by Chen Xiang, but he did not expect him to be like this. Murong Tian also possessed quite a good consciousness. He discovered that when he was in front of Chen Xiang, he had immediately activated the powerful mysterious power in his body. Just as he was about to strike out with his palm, he discovered that his body was surrounded by a few water dragons and could not move. You like to bully people, don't you? Today I will bully you. When Chen Xiang was speaking, he had already slapped him over 10 times. The pa-pa-pa sounds were clearly heard by everyone on the street, and every slap was enough for blood to fly out of Murong Tian's mouth. Ah Dong was completely dumbstruck. He did not think that Chen Xiang would actually make a move, and a very heavy one at that. He had already reached the point where there was no room for mediation. After Murong Tian had slapped him more than 10 times, although his heart was filled with rage, he could not retaliate. Get the H.E.L. out of my way. Chen Xiang fiercely stomped his foot on Murong Tian's abdomen, and leaped towards the group of people brought along. When those people caught Murong Tian, they all felt a strong burst of force, and almost fell to the ground. Ah Dong, quickly bring me to see your grandmother, Chen Xiang said to Ah Dong, to prevent them from taking revenge on Ah Dong. Ah Dong, who was in a daze, reacted, hurriedly nodded, and then started to run. Ah Dong, who was in a daze, reacted, hurriedly nodded, and then started to run. Ah Dong did not have any residences in the divine tripod city, so he built a small hut in a forest near the city. When Chen Xiang followed him to the small cabin, he saw an old granny lying on the bed. Grandmother, I've stirred up trouble. I need to leave this place as soon as possible. Ah Dong said to his grandmother with a face full of helplessness and guilt. This elder opened her eyes, and her eyes were incredibly bright. Although her hair was white, the skin on her face was as tender as jade. It was obvious that she was an elder with a certain cultivation base, but for some reason she was bedridden. Did Ah Dong damage anything you do? How much do I have to lose? The old granny's voice was very weak, as if she was using all the strength in her body to speak. She's poisoned. Yue stuck her head out from her backpack and said softly. When Ah Dong saw Yue speak, he was shocked. Little cat spoke. Chen Xiang smiled at him slightly. She knows how to speak to begin with. Heal your grandmother first. This isn't a serious illness, it's just that she was infected with a powerful poison. Chen Xiang took out a blood-red pill. This was an antidote pill refined with his blood. It could cure many different poisons. He didn't know whether it was effective or not. Let your grandmother eat it. Chen Xiang pass, said the antidote pill to Ah Dong. When Ah Dong pass, said it to the old man's mouth, she did not open her mouth and said weakly, Ah Dong, who is this person? Could it be to harm me? No, he saved me. Otherwise, I would have been beaten to a pulp by Morong Tian and the others. Ah Dong said. He was certain that Chen Xiang was a good person and would never harm him. Grandma, believe me, just eat this. The old granny looked at Chen Xiang with her pair of eyes that were filled with doubt and brightness. Chen Xiang smiled at her slightly. Senior, just eat it. All these years that Ah Dong had been bullied around, if your poison was cured, he wouldn't have to go through so much trouble. Chen Xiang was sure that this old granny had extraordinary strength. When the old granny saw the frail Ah Dong, her eyes filled with tears. How could she not know that Ah Dong had been bullied? She was just powerless as she opened her mouth and swallowed Chen Xiang's antidote. Not long after, she regained her spirit and her face had regained its color. Moreover, there was black smoke coming out from her body. The antidote pill had already taken effect and was rapidly detoxifying. Thank you. My poison has finally been dispelled. After more than 10 years, I had thought that I would die just like that. The old granny sat up, could use her own energy to cooperate with the detoxification. What did you do? The grandmother asked. Beat Morong Tian up. I was worried that he would send people to take revenge on you, so I asked Ah Dong to bring me here. Chen Xiang said. If you're well, you shouldn't be afraid of Morong Tian, right? Of course not. The old granny looked at Chen Xiang. Who the H.E.L. are you? I have never seen that detoxification pill before, and it can even dispel the strange poison in my body. I'm from somewhere else, and you don't know the name. Chen Xiang smiled blandly. I am actually quite curious about Senior's ident. One Tai. Senior's strength is definitely not weak. If you were to be poisoned, you wouldn't have persisted for so long. Chen Xiang patted Ah Dong's head and laughed. In the future, Ah Dong will not have to suffer. It's still not too late for him to start cultivating. I am sorry, Ah Dong. The old granny let out a long sigh as she looked at Ah Dong lovingly. At this time, Ah Dong's face was full of tears. This old granny had recovered very quickly and was now able to stand up. She took out a few delay pills to eat and was able to restore the vitality she had expended over the past 10 years. Thank you so much, you saved my Yin Ting's life. After Yin Ting recovered, she immediately thanked and bowed to Chen Xiang. Although she was an old lady, her actions were extremely elegant, and it was obvious that she was an extremely beautiful woman when she was young. There's no need to be polite, it's just a small matter. Chen Xiang laughed. Grandmother, Big Brother wants to see the Jade Cauldron Divine King. Do you have a way? Ah Dong could feel that Chen Xiang was heading towards the Jade Cauldron Divine King. He was very sensitive in this regard, although Chen Xiang seemed to be speaking casually. Just as Yin Ting wanted to answer, he suddenly frowned and said coldly, Someone is approaching, so it should be Morong Tian's father. It's time to settle the score with them. Chen Xiang looked through the window and saw Morong Tian, as well as a middle-aged man who looked very similar to him. There were a lot of people coming, some were even a few dozen. Ah Dong, I know you're inside, there's also that B.A.S.T.A.R.D. who injured me, hurry up and come out, I can spare your lives. Morong Tian roared. When he finished roaring, the door opened, but the ones who came out were not Ah Dong and Chen Xiang, but the white-robed Yin Ting. Seeing Yin Ting flying out, The face of the middle-aged man beside Murong Tian immediately changed. He seemed to know Yin Ting's strength, and also know about the matter of Yin Ting being poisoned. Although Yin Ting was old, he was extremely agile. After flying, he arrived beside Murong Tian in the blink of an eye and struck him with her palm. With a thunderous explosion, Murong Tian's body exploded into a burst of light and then disappeared, while the air was filled with the smell of burnt flesh. Murong Tian was actually killed by Yin Ting's palm strike. Chen Xiang and Ah Dong were shocked. Yin Ting's strength was stronger than what Chen Xiang had imagined. Murong Hua, long time no see. Your son has become quite amazing. He looks like he misses you as well. What a good seedling. Yin Ting sneered. Murong Hua was infuriated. So what if he was a good seedling? He had already been killed. How did you cure yourself of the poison? Murong Hua took a few steps back, but he suddenly couldn't move. At this moment, the group of people that came with him started to run, but before they got far, they were all charred black by the lightning and fell to the ground dead. My poison was poisoned by you. I really didn't expect it. You're so vicious. Aren't you trying to threaten my old man so that you won't kill us? Yin Ting immediately slapped his palm towards Murong Hua, without waiting for him to reply. Using his powerful lightning divine power, he struck Murong Hua dozens of times consecutively, turning him into dust. Chen Xiang never thought that this seemingly elegant old man would be so violent and decisive when he attacked. After lying down for more than 10 years, she has become much weaker. Yin Ting looked at the charred corpses around him, let out a soft sigh, and then gently flew back. Grandmother, you're so awesome. Ah Dong opened his eyes wide, and said with a face full of wars. H+P. Kid, you'll be even stronger than me in the future. Yin Ting laughed and led Chen Xiang and his sister into the house. After Yin Ting entered the room, he looked at Chen Xiang with a serious expression. Why do you want to see Jade Cauldron Divine King? Chen Xiang's origins were very mysterious, and Chen Xiang could see it. Furthermore, she had a very strong wife, but she didn't return, so Murong Hua poisoned her in order to force her and Ah Dong to hand over whatever it was that threatened her. Chen Xiang's origins were very mysterious, and Chen Xiang could see it. Furthermore, she had a very strong wife, but she didn't return, so Murong Hua poisoned her in order to force her and Ah Dong to hand over whatever it was that threatened her. I found out from Ah Dong that she was strong because I wanted to personally witness her elegance. Of course, this is just something I said casually, I can't take it to be true. Chen Xiang said with a smile. He had considered this for a while, and before he understood Yin Ting's ident. 1. Tai, he could not tell anyone about Xue Xianxian and the others being taken away. He felt that Xiao Yulan wanting to repair that mysterious cauldron should be a secret. If this was known to others, perhaps even Xue Xianxian and the others would be in danger, because they were the only refiner who could repair that cauldron. Grandma, Big Brother came out from deep in the mountains. He's very curious about everything here. Let alone him, even I want to see the true appearance of Jade Cauldron Divine King. Ah Dong laughed. Yin Ting also didn't ask about Chen Xiang's origins. She also felt that Chen Xiang was very mysterious, but she could clearly tell that Chen Xiang was a good person. This was all a great favor to her. If you really want to see her, I can try, but I can't guarantee that you'll be able to see her. Of course, if you want to talk to her, that's going to be difficult. Yin Ting said. I used to be a female servant by her side, but this has happened a long time ago. I wonder if she still remembers me. Oh! Chen Xiang never thought that Yin Ting would actually be a female servant by Xiao Yulan's side. No wonder he was so powerful. Princess really needs someone by her side right now, I can see that. If you are really outstanding, you might be able to stay by her side and work for her. The princess has always been very good to her own people, I can guarantee that. Yin Ting said. She is a first-tier celestial king, and those around her are at least third-rank divine king. Chen Xiang replied, I don't have that capability, I'm not even AGOD now. If you want to be by her side, you have to at least be a king-level expert, not to mention AGOD. Ting replied. As female servants, we didn't have too high of a requirement for strength back then. Ting said. Ting looked at Chen Xiang, who was completely confused, and immediately knew that Chen Xiang was not aware of the difference in strength. She explained. After condensing 10 divine deity, 1 would become AGOD, 20 would become AGOD, and 30 would become AGOD. I am now AGOD with 20 divine deity. Chen Xiang was secretly shocked. This Ting was actually an expert with 20 pieces of divine deity, and this was just a maid by his side. This is the jade token the princess gave me back then. She said that if I had any problems in the future, I could come and find her, but I've never used it. After all, I feel that after leaving her side, I shouldn't bother her, not to mention the things that I did provoke. I'm even more unwilling to find her. Ting said over the jade tablet to Chen Xiang. Many years have passed. Said, I don't know if this jade tablet will still be of use to you, but you should give it a try first. If it doesn't work, then take the second method. The second method? Chen Xiang took the jade tablet. This Ting had a lot of connections after all. He had followed Xiao Yulan around for so many years. You can think of a way to find the Imperial 9 Palace's general director. He's my old lover, so tell me my name. Ting caressed Ah Dong's head. Chen Xiang suddenly understood that this Ah Dong could very likely be the grandson of the Imperial 9 Palace's great general manager. I want to bring Ah Dong and leave this place. If fate wills it, we'll meet again in the future. Ting looked at Ah Dong with a complicated expression. When she looked at Chen Xiang, she thanked him yet again. After Ting and Ah Dong bid farewell to Chen Xiang, she brought Ah Dong and disappeared into the forest. Chen Xiang was a little troubled. He did not know what he should do first. After thinking about it, he decided to follow Ting's instructions and contact him with his jade tablet. He sent his divine sense into the jade tablet and said, I was introduced to you by Senior Ting. I want to follow Jade Cauldron Divine King. After the message was sent out, he strolled around the city by himself. He wasn't sure if he would be able to get a response to that. Although that jade tablet was given to Ting by the Jade Cauldron Divine King, Xiao Yulan, he felt that it was definitely not something that Xiao Yulan would personally return. Chen Xiang was currently very weak, especially in front of a strong expert like Xiao Yulan who possessed 80% of his divine deity. If he wanted to save Xue Xianxian and the others, he could only try to get to Xiao Yulan's side first and look for an opportunity. Chen Xiang only waited for more than 2 hours before he received a reply. It was a woman who wanted him to head to the Jade Cauldron Pavilion in the Divine Tripod City tomorrow morning. Chen Xiang asked around and found out that this Jade Cauldron Pavilion was a shop that specialized in selling divine pills and divine cauldrons. He didn't even say what his specialties were when he told him to go to such a suitable place. He found an inn to stay in and bought some decent-looking clothes. After that, he tidied up his appearance to make himself look a bit more neat and handsome. I haven't seen such a person in a long time. Chen Xiang looked at himself in the mirror and laughed. I wonder if you can bring me in when the time comes. If not, then I'll wait for you outside. Yue said. Chen Xiang's goal was definitely to enter the Imperial 9 Palace. Xue Xianxian and the others must be in a secret location inside. Definitely, Ah Dong said that there are a lot of small animals inside. Chen Xiang patted her head and laughed. Furthermore, it is not so easy to enter now. I will definitely have to stay outside for a period of time to observe. On the second day, Chen Xiang went to the Jade Cauldron Pavilion. This shop, named after a jade cauldron, must have received a lot of attention from Xiao Yulan. Just by looking at the front, Xiao Yulan could tell that this row of shops occupied the entire street, and were even over 100 floors tall. After Chen Xiang came inside, He took out the jade tablet once again, and said that he had arrived at the Jade Cauldron Pavilion. The one who came out to greet him was a short woman. She looked somewhat fierce, and her expression was cold, but she was very beautiful. Her tone of voice didn't cause any discomfort, probably because that was how she was born. Was it introduced by Yin Ting? Show me your jade tablet. The tender Xiao Linglong girl said. Chen Xiang Paes said over the jade tablet. The other party checked it and nodded his head, then took the jade tablet and put it away. It seemed that the jade tablet was already invalid. Follow me. The woman turned and brought Chen Xiang to a door in the hall. There was a staircase there. When Chen Xiang came in, he saw that there were a lot of people here. Most of them came to buy divine pellets, but the hall was empty, there was nothing inside. Just as Chen Xiang had expected, it was impossible for him to see Xiao Yulan even if he took the jade tablet that Yin Ting had given him. In the past, there used to be a group of people responsible for this kind of thing to receive his old subordinates, and Xiao Yulan would usually not ask about it, unless it was something very special. Just as Chen Xiang had expected, it was impossible for him to see Xiao Yulan even if he took the jade tablet that Yin Ting had given him. In the past, there used to be a group of people responsible for this kind of thing to receive his old subordinates, and Xiao Yulan would usually not ask about it, unless it was something very special. Chen Xiang followed the pet 1T girl to a secret room. There was a set of seats and the woman invited Chen Xiang to sit. Then, she politely poured him a cup of tea. Don't be so nervous. Her face was ice-cold, but the tone and voice she used was very gentle, giving people a strange feeling from now on. After the lady saw Chen Xiang take a sip of tea, she asked, "What's your name?" Just as Chen Xiang wanted to answer, he found out that his mind was a little dizzy and his mind was in a daze. He had wanted to say a fake name, but in his heart, he strongly requested for him to say his real name, and after he suddenly sensed it, he immediately activated the heavenly alchemy to refine the special power that did not belong to him. Shen Fei. Chen Xiang said this very naturally. The woman also believed him and nodded. Chen Xiang secretly sighed in his heart. He did not think that the tea that he had just drank would contain such a powerful object that could make him speak the truth. This was also understandable, because the people who were recruited had to be absolutely loyal. After all, they might be able to get close to Xiao Yulan in the future, and had to be strict with him. Chen Xiang drank another mouthful of tea. This was to prevent the opponent from becoming suspicious. After he drank it, he would refine the mysterious power, and this way it would not disturb him. Why do you want to follow Jade Cauldron Divine King? She gazed into Chen Xiang's eyes. This gave Chen Xiang a lot of mental pressure, and Chen Xiang, after all, was someone who had experienced great trials, so this sort of simple method was not difficult for him. Because I feel that the Jade Cauldron Divine King will become the new Divine Lord. As long as I follow her now, I will definitely soar to greatness in the future. I also heard that she has an unparalleled beauty in the world, so following such a beauty is also not a bad thing. Chen Xiang said. What is your relations? Hi+P with Yin Ting? Why would she hand over such an important jade tablet to you? The woman asked again. She had to know Chen Xiang's origin. The reason Chen Xiang said he wanted to follow the Jade Cauldron Divine King was also very reasonable. The woman did not suspect anything. Her grandson is called Adong, and he was bullied by someone called Murong Tian. After I helped Senior Yin Ting cure the poison, Senior Yin Ting killed Murong Tian and his son. She knew that I wanted to become a subordinate of the Jade Cauldron Divine King, so she gave me the original skin for the sake of increasing my strength greatly. Chen Xiang was not lying. The girl seemed to know about this too. She nodded and asked, "Where are you from?" It shouldn't be from the Divine Cauldron Nation, because you don't know anything about Murong Tian. In just one day, the woman had investigated many things, so she knew about this point. When she attacked Chen Xiang, she had even attacked in front of so many people, it was very easy to find out. I came from a mountain range. I grew up inside until my grandfather said that the outside world might become a chaotic world. He let me take this opportunity to go and gain some experience, and then he left the mountain range by himself. Chen Xiang definitely wouldn't say that he came from the Nine Heaven world, because Xue Xianxian and the others were people who had just been kidnapped in the Nine Heaven world. The woman thought about it and felt that there was nothing suspicious about it. It was normal for a man who came running out from the mountains to wars. Hi+P the Jade Cauldron Divine King after hearing about her. Who is your grandfather? What's your name? The woman asked again. Xin Tianyuan. Chen Xiang randomly made up a name. The woman had never heard of this name, but she would check if there were any hidden experts, so it was not strange for Chen Xiang to say that he came out from deep inside the mountains. What are you best at? The woman asked. If you tell me, I'll arrange something for you. Pill refining and killing demon beasts. It's fine to kill people, you're just like a demon beast. Chen Xiang said, but at the same time, he raised his cup again, and was about to drink the tea inside, when the lady Snatc held the cup away. This tea is cold, I've just poured it for you. The lady changed a pot of tea and poured Chen Xiang another cup. After Chen Xiang finished drinking it, he knew that there was nothing else in the cup of tea. What rank pill will you refine? The woman was a little surprised. If they were hiding deep in the mountains, the resources needed to concoct pills would not be much. The path of alchemy was very difficult, and without the pill formulas it would be difficult to grow. Zhongpin Dan. Chen Xiang said, I'm almost able to refine a Shangpin Dan. She thought that Chen Xiang was just a brat, she didn't think that he could actually refine Zhongpin Dan. This kind of young alchemist was always very popular wherever he went. Even if it was the large groups under the Jade Cauldron Divine King's command, there were still less young alchemists. Is that true? The lady was a little doubtful, because Chen Xiang did not drink the tea that was filled with the truth. The one that he drank previously was already dead. Then Big Sis, do you have any Zhongpin Dan's ingredients? I will try to refine a cauldron for you to see. If you fail, I will use the Shen Yuan stone to compensate you with your divine medicines. Chen Xiang said confidently. When he was refining the Zhongpin Dan, he had even comprehended a spirit-strengthening technique. When the other alchemists were refining Zhongpin Dan, they would normally need a large amount of holy pellets as support, but Chen Xiang did not. This was all because of the spirit-strengthening technique that he had comprehended from the heavenly alchemy. All right. The woman took out 5 different colored fruits from a storage bag and asked, Do you know these divine fruits? Do you know what kind of divine pill this is? Do you have a pill formula? 5 elements divine fruits can be used to refine 5 elements DANs, and it is one of the most beloved divine pills for divine cultivators of the 5 elements with 10 divine deity and higher. I don't have the recipe, but can you give it to me? Chen Xiang said. Actually, he did not need a pill formula to concoct one, he just wanted to hide this heaven-defying ability. This is a pill formula. The woman said Chen Xiang a jade token. Even if you don't become one of us in the future, this pill formula will still belong to you. After all, it was Yin Ting's jade tablet. This could be considered as help to Chen Xiang. Chen Xiang took the jade tablet, pretended to read the contents seriously, and asked, Big sister, if I am outstanding in pill refining, will I be able to see Jade Cauldron Divine King? If it was in the past, it would definitely not be possible. But right now, there might be a possibility that the Jade Cauldron Divine King needs an outstanding alchemist. If you are able to refine Shangpin Dan, I can tell you with absolute certainty that even if you cannot immediately see the Jade Cauldron Divine King, you can still enter the Imperial Nine Palace, and meeting the Jade Cauldron Divine King is only a matter of time. The woman understood Chen Xiang's feelings very well, because she had also walked over like this back then. She was a woman herself, and she wars.h.I plus ped such a powerful woman like Xiao Yulan. If it was in the past, it would definitely not be possible. But right now, there might be a possibility that the Jade Cauldron Divine King needs an outstanding alchemist. If you are able to refine Shangpin Dan, I can tell you with absolute certainty that even if you cannot immediately see the Jade Cauldron Divine King, you can still enter the Imperial Nine Palace, and meeting the Jade Cauldron Divine King is only a matter of time. The woman understood Chen Xiang's feelings very well, because she had also walked over like this back then. She was a woman herself, and she wars. Hi plus ped such a powerful woman like Xiao Yulan. I don't have the Shangpin Dan's pill formulas, if not I could let you see it right now. Chen Xiang said. I don't believe it. If you don't have a pill refining method, then you must have never refined a Shangpin Dan before. How could you succeed? Usually, when you are learning to refine higher-level divine pellets, you will have to go through a process of failure. This process is very long. The woman said. Wait till I refine this Zhongpin Dan. I'll definitely think of a way for you to believe it when the time comes. Just as Chen Xiang wanted to take out his pill furnace, he immediately thought that this furnace was refined by Xue Xianxian and the rest, and such a method was easy to see through. When Xiao Yulan finds out, he would not be able to reveal his ident. One Tai. Before he was certain whether Xiao Yulan had any ill intentions towards Xue Xianxian and the others, he could not reveal his ident. One Tai. Why haven't you started? The woman asked. I don't have a pill furnace. Chen Xiang's answer made the woman's ice-cold face even colder. Sorry, I sold the pill furnace because I was too poor. Elder sister, you can give me any pill furnace as long as it's not too bad. I just want to borrow it. I don't need yours. Chen Xiang said in embarrassment. The woman snorted. Alchemist normally sees a pill furnace as his second life, but you sell your own pill furnace. Are you still an alchemist? Chen Xiang grinned. My master said that the real alchemist uses the heaven and earth as its furnace, as long as there is a furnace in your heart. The woman was a little angry. She took out an ordinary pill furnace and wanted to smash it onto Chen Xiang's little face. She really wanted to shout at Chen Xiang, without a pill furnace what the hell are you going to be? After Chen Xiang received the pill furnace, he immediately expressed his thanks. If not for the fact that he did not want to scare the girl in front of him, he would have immediately used the magic method furnace. After taking the pill furnace, Chen Xiang lit a fire inside the furnace, then took the 5 invisible divine fruits and started to refine pills. Do you even know how to forge pills? What nonsense! You didn't follow the instructions in the pill formula at all, and you didn't prepare the commonly used supplementary sacred pills? When the lady saw that Chen Xiang's steps in refining the Zhongpin Dan were messy, she could not help but say it. Sister, what's your name? You should have a lot of power in this Jade Cauldron Pavilion. Chen Xiang asked. Xiao Baifeng, I am not working in the Jade Cauldron Pavilion. I am just borrowing this temporarily. Xiao Baifeng looked at the 5 elements Dan's pill formulas, and the steps for Chen Xiang to refine the pill did not follow the instructions on the board at all. One 5 elements divine fruit costs 500,000 Xin Yuan stone. These 5 are worth 2,500,000. You even sold the pill furnace, are you worthy? I can't afford it. Chen Xiang laughed. Big sister Baifeng, are you a phoenix? Humph. Xiao Baifeng did not expect Chen Xiang to answer her in such a way. She felt that it was like a meat bun beating a dog, and thought that these 5 divine fruits had been wasted. She silently berated herself. If Chen Xiang had continued to drink that tea, which was spouting truths, Chen Xiang would not casually brag about it. I am human. The princess gave me the name. She raised me. Xiao Baifeng said. If you fail, I will not blame you. Just consider it my misfortune, and give this pill furnace to you. Thank you, elder sister Baifeng. Chen Xiang giggled and then took out a jade bottle. He controlled the flames with one hand and poured the delicious juice with the other. This was what Huang Jintian gave him back then, and he copied a lot of it later on. I'll give it to you to drink. Chen Xiang handed it over. Are you refining pills? Xiao Baifeng could feel the flames inside the pill furnace, but Chen Xiang was currently smiling mischievously and even poured wine for her. It did not seem like a pill refining at all. Previously, when she had brought Chen Xiang in, Chen Xiang had given her a good impression and looked very serious, but it blew her up. Of course. I will begin now. Chen Xiang immediately closed his eyes. Then, with a stern face, he did not say a word. When refining Zhongping Dan, one would need the spirit blood within the various divine medicines to reach a very uniform level of fusion. Otherwise, if the spirit blood was a little unstable, it would cause an explosion. When the other alchemists refined these divine medicines, they would use some of the supplementary sacred pills to increase the quality of the divine medicines, allowing them to balance out several of the divine medicines. Chen Xiang didn't need it either. He used the heavenly alchemy's method to mobilize the power within the divine sense C to directly enhance the quality of the spirit blood. At the same time, he also increased the quality of the divine medicine itself. In this way, he wouldn't need the help of such ACU, Bursum Holy Elixir. Right now, what he wanted to strengthen was the 5-element spirit blood, which was simply too easy for him. This was because the 6 realms' power contained the energy of the 5 elements the most, so he quickly allowed the 5 spirit blood to reach a balanced level. At the moment, only an hour had passed. Seeing Chen Xiang becoming serious, Xiao Baifeng was not as angry as before. She even picked up the juice Chen Xiang poured for her to drink, and after taking a sip, she felt that it tasted good, and finished it all without realizing it. 2 hours later, Chen Xiang had already begun to condense the pellet. He was just casually refining. To be able to condense 4 pellets, if he was serious, he himself would not know how many pills he could condense, but it was definitely more than what he could condense now. Elder Sister Baifeng, I heard that those around Jade Cauldron Divine King are at least 20 years old. How about you? Chen Xiang was very curious. He knew that Xiao Baifeng was strong, but he was unable to see her strength accurately. I am a 30 divine deity great saint. Xiao Baifeng's face darkened. Continue to refine your pill. So powerful. If I pass your test, will I become your subordinate? This is good too. I'm not afraid of being bullied. Chen Xiang laughed. That may not be so. There are many divine monarchs around the princess who possess 40 to 50 divine deities, but I was raised by the princess, so I was taken care of by her. Xiao Baifeng glared at Chen Xiang. Even if you become a subordinate, if you cause trouble, I won't help you take care of it. Hurry up and refine your pills. Just as Xiao Baifeng finished speaking, Chen Xiang took the lid off the pill furnace. Is it time to add an auxiliary holy elixir? But this is not the time. Xiao Baifeng was curious. No, I'm done. Chen Xiang took out 5 colored pills from the furnace and threw them to her, smiling as he asked, What's the quality? If you sell it, how much can you sell it for? This. When Xiao Baifeng saw the 4 colored pills fly over, she reached out her hands in disbelief and scanned them. When she held all of them in her hands, she could clearly feel the warmth of the pill being transferred into her hands. Chen Xiang clapped his hands and laughed. How is the quality? Chen Xiang clapped his hands and laughed. How is the quality? Xiao Baifeng opened her palm and looked at the 4 5 elements Dan. Her face was filled with disbelief, and she was shocked speechless, and she was currently thinking about what tricks Chen Xiang could do, but she had been staring at Chen Xiang the entire time, and the pill furnace was also given by her. Furthermore, these 4 5 elements Dan had also just come out, so she could be sure of this. However, an alchemist like Chen Xiang, who could even sell her pill furnaces, who was sloppy about concocting pills and did not follow the pill formulas when concocting pills, had now refined 4-5 elements. Dan asked, I only know that in the Divine Cauldron Nation, only the great national master is able to produce 4-5 elements. Dan, but it seems that their speed is not as fast as you. Xiao Baifeng looked at Chen Xiang from a new angle. She had already confirmed that these 4-5 elements Dan were refined by Chen Xiang, and he had refined them while chatting with her. Doesn't that mean I'm very powerful? Chen Xiang pretended to be surprised. Xiao Baifeng nodded. Very powerful. Amongst the middle-ranking alchemists, you alone can match up to 18 of them. You only need one set of medicinal ingredients and in 2 hours, you can refine 4-5 elements. Dan S, while the other alchemists need 4 sets of medicinal ingredients. Of course, there are a small number of young genius alchemists who are still inferior to you. Oh, then can I become your subordinate now? Chen Xiang laughed. Although this Xiao Baifeng did not know how to laugh, he knew that this little beauty had a very good heart. Xiao Baifeng clenched his teeth and said, Yes, you can follow me into Imperial 9 Palace. Once you're inside, you must listen to me and not run around inside. Otherwise, it's very easy for you to cause trouble. In Xiao Baifeng's eyes, Chen Xiang was a young, talented alchemist, and her potential to grow up was very high. She might very well become a famous pill G.O.D. in the future, which would be of help to herself. Chen Xiang followed Xiao Baifeng and entered a large carriage pulled by several lions, and then entered the Imperial 9 Palace that was like a city in a city. This is your ident. 1. Tai Jade Token. If someone asks you, show your jade tablet, and you will know that it's my, Xiao Baifeng's people, and they will not do anything to you. Remember, don't cause trouble in there. Even I can't protect you if you provoke the royal daughter. Besides that, there are many royal relatives too. There are simply too many people who cannot be offended. For example, the subordinates of some of the G.O.D. king, and the disciples of some of the G.O.D. king. Following that, Xiao Baifeng listed a lot of people that he could not offend, and sometimes, he might not even mess with some cats and dogs, because it was very possible that they were the pets of some royal girls. What a dangerous feeling! Is there any trouble stepping on a flower? Chen Xiang sighed. Not bad, accidentally trampling an expensive flower to death will cause trouble. Xiao Baifeng nodded seriously. Elder Sister Baifeng, I really admire you for being able to stay in there for so long. Chen Xiang cupped his hands towards her, then took out his own backpack and grabbed Yuer out. Elder Sister Baifeng, can I bring this kitten in? This is my little pet. It has been with me for many years. Yuer was only a little bigger than a palm, and her entire body was completely white. Her neck was being pinched by Chen Xiang, and at this moment she was waving her 4 short legs, meowing and calling her cute and adorable. Even the cold-looking Xiao Baifeng couldn't help but to reach out and carefully hold Yuer up. Of course you can. Xiao Baifeng caressed Yuer's palm affectionately. Chen Xiang secretly despised Yuer's cute little thing. He knew this little kitten's background, but you have to be careful not to let anyone else see. Especially those aristocratic ladies who like small animals. If they want to rob you, it will be troublesome. At this moment, Xiao Baifeng was reluctant to return Yuer to Chen Xiang. Elder Sister Baifeng, why don't I temporarily hand it over to you? Those royal women wouldn't dare to ask for it from you, since you are one of the people by the Jade Cauldron Divine King's side. Chen Xiang said, She is a special cat, you can't enter the storage magic treasure, otherwise you will die. And she will say something. Little thing, say a few words. Chen Xiang used his finger to poke Yuer's face. After Yuer meowed a few times, she shouted, Little scoundrel, don't touch me. When Chen Xiang saw Xiao Baifeng laughing so happily, he also giggled. Elder Sister Baifeng, take good care of this little thing. She has been with me for many years. Don't worry. Xiao Baifeng took out her own small backpack, looking much better looking than Chen Xiang's black bag. Yue, who was inside, also felt very comfortable. She understood Chen Xiang's intentions. After Chen Xiang entered the Imperial Nine Palace, he definitely could not run around randomly, and Yue, who followed Xiao Baifeng, could get close to him. The Imperial Nine Palace was surrounded by a nine-sided city wall. The inside of the wall was extremely huge, like a few huge cities. When the car entered the gate, it stopped for a while. Someone then opened the car and checked inside to confirm the item. 1. Tie before letting the car continue on. Elder Sister Baifeng, what do I need to do after I enter? Chen Xiang asked. Stay at my residence for the time being. After that, I'll do my best to help you obtain the pill formula so that you can forge pills. Xiao Baifeng said. We are going to the Jade Cauldron Palace, one of them. Previously, it wasn't called Jade Cauldron Palace, but was now occupied by the princess, so its name was changed. Since I'm in Jade Cauldron Divine King's territory, then am I not very safe? What are you worried about? Chen Xiang laughed. Hard to say, there are a lot of women and children in the Divine Lord. His weaker children would usually join the princess, a first-rate divine king. Hence, the princes and royal girls were all very strong, having the blood of the Divine Lord. Adding on to that, their status and resources would make it impossible for ordinary people to compare to them. And you must know that people with such esteemed statuses normally look down on outsiders. I understand. I've met many of these fellows as well. Chen Xiang laughed. What he did not say was that, after this guy provokes him, most of them will be killed by him. Chen Xiang felt that the carriage sped up, and before long, Xiao Baifeng let him off. The environment is pretty good. Chen Xiang looked around. It was a medium-sized courtyard with a pond and an arch bridge. The pavilion was right beside a garden, and although the green and soft lawn was the courtyard was very big. But the houses were relatively small. It was only a hall and a few rooms. This is already the Jade Cauldron Palace. You must not leave this courtyard. When I have time, I will bring you around to familiarize you with this place. Xiao Baifeng brought Chen Xiang into one of the rooms. There's a secret room inside. It's good as long as you refine pills inside. My place is very quiet. No one will come here. Chen Xiang was a person who was very curious. He had come to the Imperial Nine Palace but was locked in this courtyard, not able to leave, which made him very bored. Furthermore, he didn't know what he should do here. Chen Xiang was a person who was very curious. He had come to the Imperial Nine Palace but was locked in this courtyard, not able to leave, which made him very bored. Furthermore, he didn't know what he should do here. Elder Sister Baifeng, can you find something for me to do? For example, if you can get me a better Shangping Dan's formula, it would be best if it can help with condensing divine deity. Chen Xiang felt that Xiao Baifeng's position was not as low as she claimed it to be. Otherwise, she would not so casually give him a portion of the 5 elements Dan's medicinal ingredients. Xiao Baifeng said, I will do my best to help you get it. The good pill formulas are all in the hands of the great national master. If I want to obtain the pill formulas from him, I need to pay a large amount of Shen Yuan stone s. But you don't have to worry, I will do my best to fight for it from the princess. Elder Sister Baifeng, tell me honestly, what is my alchemy level? Chen Xiang asked. I just want to know if I have the qualifications to see Jade Cauldron Divine King. It's still not over yet. Wait till you refine the Shangping Dan, and the speed and number of pills you refine will be the same as the 5 elements Dan. Then, I can assure you that the princess will definitely meet with you. Xiao Baifeng said. I can also tell her the pill refining ability that you have displayed and see if she will be interested in you, or if she will help you get a good pill formula. Chen Xiang hurriedly nodded his head. If he had a good Shangping Dan, then he wouldn't have to work so hard to create it. At that time, he would also be able to rely on this divine pellet to make himself stronger. His previous plan was to become stronger as soon as possible, because once the 9 heaven worlds succeeded in evolving, he would face a huge danger. If he had enough strength to fight against the strong enemies that were eyeing him covetously, then he wouldn't need to be on guard and hide. Elder Sister Baifeng, when will you be back? Chen Xiang saw that Xiao Baifeng had just turned around, and immediately grabbed her hand. Xiao Baifeng suddenly flung Chen Xiang's hand away, and looked at Chen Xiang in anger. Her hand had never been pulled by a man before. I'll be back tonight. You better not run around. Although Xiao Baifeng was angry from the bottom of his heart, he did not express it. Chen Xiang watched as Xiao Baifeng left with Yue and laughed. This woman seems to have never been touched by a man before, her reaction was so intense. There was a period of time between now and night, so Chen Xiang could not waste time. He anxiously took out some spirit liquid and started to copy the bone-level Dan's ingredients, which was one of the ways to quickly obtain more strength, and it was to cultivate more bones. When Chen Xiang entered the Imperial 9 Palace, because he was locked in this courtyard, he did not sense just how powerful the Imperial 9 Palace was. However, he knew that Xiao Yulan was very strong. The female servant by his side had 30 divine deity and a lot of level 1 divine kings as subordinate. Chen Xiang believed that this Jade Cauldron divine king would only need a small portion of power to completely annihilate all the powers in the 9 heaven world. Qilian, you must become strong as soon as possible. These divine nations are really too scary. Chen Xiang went over to the window and looked at the blue sky. If he wanted to quickly obtain power, he could only constantly refine a large amount of high-level pellets, and right now he lacked a good pellet of Shangpin Dan. If he had a good pellet of Shangpin Dan, he also had a goal, and he felt that collecting any pellets here was not a difficult matter. As long as he had Shen Yuan Stone S, it would be fine. At night, Xiao Baifeng returned and Yue followed her. Initially, Chen Xiang was still a little worried that Yue would be sent out, since Yue was a very likable little kitten. I have good news to tell you. It can help you gain the attention of the princess quickly. Xiao Baifeng carried Yue out of the backpack and allowed her to freely fly. She felt that Yue, who was trapped inside that backpack, must be very uncomfortable. Elder Sister Baifeng, drink. Chen Xiang quickly brought her a cup of fruit juice. After Xiao Baifeng sat down and took a big gulp, he said, You should already know the reason behind the civil war in our divine cauldron nation? Chen Xiang nodded. I do, but this is because the various great powers all want to fight for the throne with the least possible losses. This is a method that is based on peace. That's right, this point was suggested by the princess, and it's not that her strength is insufficient, but she's very clear, as if fighting to the throne through a very BLOOD. Y means this divine cauldron nation will also lose greatly in strength, which is very disadvantageous for the entire divine cauldron nation. Xiao Baifeng drank all the remaining juice in one gulp. This fruit juice was extremely delicious. Therefore, princess, you should go to those great national masters to have them come forward and mediate, and find a peaceful way to fight for the throne. So, princess, you should go to those great national masters to discuss, and for those great national masters to come forward to mediate, and find a peaceful way to fight for the throne. Chen Xiang said anxiously, Elder Sister Baifeng, quickly tell us the good news. Xiao Baifeng reached out his hands to catch Yue and said, The good news is that the 7 first-tier divine kings will decide who will be the divine lord by competing with each other. Oh, how is this good news for me? Chen Xiang did not understand. This compet. 1. Tian is a contest of strength, and also the great national master who will select the future. This will test the young generation. Xiao Baifeng said. A few great national masters are proficient in this aspect, and the most proficient are the great national masters who concoct pills. And in the future, great national master would definitely leave, just like the other divine lord, and search for the path to longevity. So, there would have to be someone who would inherit the position of great national master. Chen Xiang suddenly understood, but there were some things he did not understand. Xiao Baifeng continued, and this compet. 1 Tian is a test of 7 level 1 divine kings by those great national masters. This is because in the future one will have to be known as the, and not only will they have to have a strong divine lord, they will also have to have a great national master. At that time, the subordinates of the 7 great divine lords will conduct all sorts of compet. 1 Tians, and I will recommend you to partake. 1 P8 in the alchemy compet. 1 Tian. If you perform well, you might be groomed as a future great national master. Xiao Baifeng said, but according to my current understanding during the compet. 1 Tian, Shangping Dan S and Supreme G, O. D pellets should be refined, and you might be able to. Xiao Baifeng frowned, the Supreme G, O D pellet is impossible. But you don't have to worry. As long as you perform well while refining the Shangping Dan, the princess will see through your potential. The Supreme God pellet was of a higher grade than the Shangping Dan. Chen Xiang had never even seen medicinal ingredients of the highest quality, let alone refined it. How much longer? Chen Xiang was a person who liked to challenge others. He did not know how to refine the Supreme pellet, but he planned to give it a try. In these 3 days, you can compete in the Central Divine Palace of Imperial 9 Palace. Other than refining pills, there are also compet tians, refining weapons, setting up formations, and other sorts of compet tians. As for your main task, pill refining, you don't have to worry about anything else. In these 3 days, you can compete in the Central Divine Palace of Imperial 9 Palace. Other than refining pills, there are also compet. 1 Tians, refining weapons, setting up formations, and other sorts of compet. 1 Tians. As for your main task, pill refining, you don't have to worry about anything else. Chen Xiang never thought that it would be this fast. If he had had 1 or 2 months, he might be very confident in breaking through to the Supreme Pellet, but he felt that it was impossible now. Don't worry. 3 days later, the preliminary round will be held. It will be a simple test or compet. 1 Tian, and the candidates with more qualifications will have to be chosen. The time has yet to be set. Xiao Baifeng said, I have already reported what happened regarding you to the princess. She didn't seem to be too concerned about it, but she still gave me a pill formula. Is this the Shangping Dan's pill formula? That's enough. Chen Xiang immediately became overjoyed. Quickly give me the medicinal formula. Could it be that he didn't have any divine medicines? Or is it that divine medicine is hard to find? Seeing Xiao Baifeng's expression, Chen Xiang was also extremely worried. If the pill formulas that Xiao Baifeng asked for were not good, he could only think of a way himself. That's not it. This is because this pill formula is very difficult to make. Although many pill GODs have this formula, they have never refined it before. Xiao Baifeng sighed. To put it bluntly, these pill formulas are usually used to send people away. These broken pill formulae are everywhere on the streets, but there is not a single person who succeeded in forming a pill. That's alright. Do you have any medicinal ingredients? Chen Xiang liked to refine things that were difficult to refine. This was a very good challenge for him. As long as there were ingredients, it would be fine. Divine medicines aren't a problem. This type of medicinal pill only requires 2 types. Moreover, they are quite common, and the price is also relatively cheap. Xiao Baifeng took out a jade tablet and gave it to Chen Xiang. Chen Xiang took it and looked, and penetrated his mind. He immediately frowned. This is indeed a little troublesome, let me try it first. Do you know what the difficulty is? When Xiao Baifeng was refining the 5 elements Dan, he knew that Chen Xiang did not follow the pill formulas, but there must be some strange method. The difficulty lies in these two divine medicines. Chen Xiang said. These two divine medicines are famous for being incompatible fire and water. The three disasters destroy flower and the merciful divine fruit, one is killing while the other is life. The three disasters destroy flower contains the 9 yang divine flame, while the merciful fruit contains the 9 yang divine flame. This is the energy of the elements, and the energy of the consciousness is also very strong. Xiao Baifeng nodded. Just like how I understood it, I heard that this pill formula was just another person's playbook and was used to fool others. There is no such formula, there is no way to refine a divine pellet. The reason Princess gave me this pill formula was to send me off. However, this cannot be blamed on her. After all, what she needs now is someone that she can directly use. Help me buy these 2 herbs, 100 apiece, Chen Xiang said. He felt that he could give it a try as he was also very interested in it. I'll help you get 10 portions temporarily. After Xiao Baifeng finished, he quickly left. Yue flew to Chen Xiang's shoulders and said, I saw that Xiao Yulan, he's a great beauty. Chen Xiang snorted, so what if you're a great beauty? Was she as beautiful as Xian Xian and the others? The person who took my wife, no matter how beautiful she is as ugly as S-H-I+T in my eyes. He. Yue immediately laughed tenderly. Don't let her hear that. If this woman gets angry, she can burn half of Imperial 9 Palace. Oh right, Chen Xiang, are you really planning to refine this 9 yin and yang dan? Yue asked. Of course, have you heard of this kind of pill in Star Law Divine Realm? Chen Xiang was very curious about this pill, especially regarding the effects of the 9 yin and yang dan. After consuming it, the medicinal effect would trigger the 9 transformations of the body, and during the process of the 9 transformations, the 9 transformations qi would be released, which could quickly condense divine deity. I've never heard of them, but I've heard of those 2 divine medicines. There are alchemists in the Star Law Divine Realm who can specially refine these 2 divine medicines into 2 high-quality divine pellet. Once they collide, they can create a very strong explosion. Yue said, You should have Baifeng prepare a better pill furnace for you. She should have helped me prepare it. This woman has a good heart. Chen Xiang stroked his chin and laughed. Although I don't know how to laugh, but it's a very good female slave embryo. Little scoundrel. Yue laughed and scolded him. When I went to see Xiao Yulan with her, I didn't hear anything about Xian Xian and the others. Chen Xiang took out a mirror and laughed. My appearance has already been slightly changed. When the time comes, even if someone here recognizes me, they will only think that I look like one. I just don't know if my Chen Xiang's name has reached this Imperial 9 Palace or not. Xiao Baifeng returned very quickly. As expected, she had helped Chen Xiang prepare a set of pill furnaces, and there were 3 of them. She did not concoct any pills, but she knew the effects of the 2 divine medicines class HI+ing together. I've asked the person who sold the pill furnace. He said that even if the 3 disasters destroy flower and the merciful fruit collided, it would not cause any harm to the alchemist. Xiao Baifeng Paes, said Chen Xiang, 3 very small pill furnaces. Here are 10 vials of divine medicine. It's already late at night, so I can only get these 10 vials. Tomorrow I will help you get more. Remember, don't go into closed-door training for too long. You will be partic. 1p. Aiding in the preliminaries in 3 days. At that time, you only need to refine Zhongping Dan. Xiao Baifeng gave everything to Chen Xiang. She also hoped that Chen Xiang could grow up. This was the first time she trained him. Chen Xiang laughed. Elder sister Baifeng, I heard that 3 disasters destroy flower and merciful fruit are divine medicines that can be grown. There shouldn't be just high-quality ones. Go and find out if there are any high-quality ones. All right. Xiao Baifeng nodded. Oh right, elder sister Baifeng, do you know the bone-level dance pill formula? Chen Xiang asked. This. Amongst the 9 divine nations, only the great national master and his disciple know how to refine it. His disciple is also a prince, and although he only has the strength of the 3rd-rank divine king, he is considered to be someone who can compete for the throne. However, he disdains to compete for it. Xiao Baifeng shook his head. Don't think about bone-level Dan's heart also skipped a beat. The bone-level Dan was something that he accidentally obtained in the Supreme Divine Palace, but he didn't expect it to be Pa's said down from the Divine Cauldron Nation, and it was even set up by the Great National Master himself. He felt that the Great National Master did it on purpose, to see if anyone else could obtain it, and then successfully refine it. What a powerful prince, 3rd-rank divine king, and he's the disciple of Great National Master as well. Chen Xiang exclaimed. He did not know that, at that time, this prince had secretly competed against him. Previously, the entire Imperial 9 Palace thought that he only possessed 20 to 30 divine deity, but even so, they felt that he was still able to compete for the throne. It was said that when someone wanted to make a move against him, he revealed his true strength. At the same time, he also declared that he would not struggle for the throne. Xiao Baifeng also admired this prince. Not just anyone could resist the temptation of power. Chen Xiang took out a piece of paper, wrote down the names of the several divine medicines, and gave it to Xiao Baifeng. Chen Xiang took out a piece of paper, wrote down the names of the several divine medicines, and gave it to Xiao Baifeng. Elder sister Baifeng, go and check for me tomorrow. If you have any of these divine medicines, sell them to me. Remember, you must come in secret. It's for you to investigate, not ask, so you can't use your current ident. 1 Tai. Chen Xiang said seriously. The pet. 1. Ti Xiao Baifeng was shorter than Chen Xiang by 2 heads. When Chen Xiang became serious at this moment, he gave off a kind of presence. All right. Xiao Baifeng looked at the divine medicine on it. She didn't know what pill it was used to refine, but she felt that it was a little familiar. These were all divine medicines used to refine bone-level Dan. Chen Xiang only had low-quality divine medicines, while the middle-quality ones required a large amount of spirit liquid to ripen them. He was currently unable to cultivate with the girls to condense spirit pearls. He only needed to rely on his own spirit liquid to make them mature quickly. If they were to sell here, it would be extremely difficult, and if they were to use it, it would be the best. Chen Xiang took the 2 divine medicines and excitedly went into the secret room to concoct pills. Deep into the night, Xiao Baifeng slept soundly. Yue flew out from her embrace and sat by the window, shaking her cute tail as she looked at the stars and the moon in the sky. Only the stars of the moon can live here. The moon here is quite big. Yue looked at Xingyu, secretly using her power to communicate with Xingyu, asking her if she had seen Xue Xianxian, Lu Menger and the others. Bam! Fled sound rang out, jolting Xiao Baifeng awake. This kid blew up the furnace. When Xiao Baifeng heard the voice coming from Chen Xiang's secret room, he let out a sigh of relief, and then continued to lie down. She looked at Yu who was squatting at the window and softly asked, Yu what are you looking at? Yu mewled a few times. I miss home. Where is your home? Xiao Baifeng did not know about the matters of the Star Law Divine Realm, nor did he know about the matters of the Star Moon Divine Race. Far, far away. Yue said 3 things that were very far away, but that was because they were truly very far away. Did that brat capture you? Xiao Baifeng suddenly became angry. If you miss your home, I'll send you back. It's just that the other divine nations are in a mess right now, so it's not safe to go back. Xiao Baifeng only thought that Yue was brought here by Chen Xiang from another divine nations. Yue shook her head. No, that little scoundrel saved me and helped me greatly. He also promised me that he would bring me home in the future. Yue had already sent a message to Starmoon, so the result would be revealed very soon. If Starmoon had seen Xue Xianxian's and his figure before, she would definitely tell her. Just then, another bang sound came out, and Chen Xiang's pill refinement exploded again. Several hours had said, and before the sky brightened, Chen Xiang had already refined all 10 batches of medicinal ingredients. When he walked out of the secret room, he was in a sorry state. Xiao Baifeng only had a little bit of information, but after hearing Chen Xiang explode 10 times, she immediately rushed over. There were many broken pieces of the pill furnace inside the secret room. As expected, this 9 revolving God pill doesn't even exist. I wonder which bored fellow caused this. Xiao Baifeng looked at Chen Xiang's dirty body and said, "Quickly go wash and rest. I will think of a way to help you look for the Shangping Dan's pill formula. Don't try to refine the 9 reverse divine pill again, it will take your life. No, continue buying the divine medicine for me. How many Shen Yuan stones do you need?" Chen Xiang had asked for thousands and thousands of gold from LV Qilian, so he felt that it should be enough to buy a lot. 3 million a portion, 30 million yesterday. Xiao Baifeng sighed lightly. The Shen Yuan stone is not a problem, I have accu. Mulat some over the years. The most important thing was whether he could concoct pills. Many famous alchemists have tried to concoct the 9 revolving God pill, but none of them succeeded, so don't be stubborn about it. Chen Xiang took out 10 million Shen Yuan stone and said, "Help me buy 3 servings." Xiao Baifeng took it and looked at Yue helplessly, because he did not hear what she said before. "I don't need the cauldron anymore," Chen Xiang added, and then entered the secret room. After that he heard the sound of water splosh. Plusing inside, he took a bath, and at the same time washed the ground clean. "There's really nothing we can do about it." Xiao Baifeng sighed, returned to his room and washed up, put on some clothes, and walked out of the courtyard, wanting to help Chen Xiang buy the 9 yin and yang dan's medicinal ingredient. Yue teleported into the secret room. It was very bright and Sias inside. Chen Xiang took out a bathtub inside, and at this moment, he was underwater. "Hey, is there a chance for the 9 yin and yang dan?" Yue asked. He must have succeeded, but he thinks that only he can succeed, which is why he released the pill formula. After so many years, no one has succeeded, so he is even more pleased with himself. Chen Xiang came out from under the bathtub. "The one who created the pill formula is declaring war to others, I must beat him." Who would be so bored? Yue was curious about this. It should be divine cauldron nations. This guy is the best at refining pills. He must have spread the news about the pill formulas. Back then, bone-level Dan were also obtained by this fellow. Other than him, I can't think of anyone else who would be that bored. Chen Xiang chuckled. Since that's the case, I will accept his challenge. I must refine this 9 yin and yang dan. Xiao Baifeng left early in the morning. She returned at noon, and Chen Xiang was already waiting for her in the hall. "This is the Tianhua Dan's pill formula, I bought it." Xiao Baifeng threw a jade tablet to Chen Xiang. "This is the Shangping Dan's medicinal formula, even though it is a common product, at least it will allow you to become an alchemist capable of refining Shangping Dan. The Tianhua Dan's divine medicine, a total of 10 of them." Xiao Baifeng placed a storage bag on the table. When she saw the disappointment on Chen Xiang's face, she could not help but snort. And this, 30 pieces of the 9 reverse divine pellets divine medicine. Seeing the ingredients for the 9 reverse divine pill, Chen Xiang finally revealed a smile. He was secretly moved in his heart. Xiao Baifeng must have used a lot of Shen Yuan stone to get all these for him. "Elder sister Baifeng, you are really good to me, just like you are to your own little brother. I will not let you down." Laughed, taking those things, the thing he cared about the most was 9 yin and yang dan. Xiao Baifeng glanced at Chen Xiang snappily, because it was as if Chen Xiang was possessed by a demon in her eyes. "In order to obtain these items, I have already expended more than half of my savings. Work hard." After Xiao Baifeng finished speaking, he hurriedly ran out again. This was because Chen Xiang had told her last night to help her check if any bone-level dan were being sold. Chen Xiang had quite a number of 9 yin and yang dan's medicinal herbs, but he was not in a hurry to refine them. Chen Xiang had quite a number of 9 yin and yang dan's medicinal herbs, but he was not in a hurry to refine them. Just as Xiao Baifeng had said, this Tianhua Dan was a popular commodity and was sold in many pill shops. Although many alchemists knew how to refine Shangping Dan, that did not mean that these divine pills were very cheap. High-quality Tianhua Dan were also relatively more expensive. Refining the Tianhua Dan first, we can't let elder sister Baifeng waste all that effort. Chen Xiang knew that Xiao Baifeng had already used up a lot of Shen Yuan stone just for him, so he wanted to let Xiao Baifeng see a glimmer of hope, or at least let Xiao Baifeng feel that his Shen Yuan stone was not spent in vain. The Tianhua Dan's pill formulas should have all been sold at price, and after so many years, they were uncontrollable. But according to what I know, there are very few alchemists who can refine Tianhua Dan to the extreme. Chen Xiang took out a jade box and opened it. Inside was a GRA the size of a palm. It was slightly thick and red in color. This was a blazing GRA Shangping medicine It was rather common. The quality of the blazing GRA is not bad. The Shangping medicine in this kind of place all grow quite well. Chen Xiang placed the scorching GRA on his cheek as he felt the warmth coming from it, then took out a small, red leaf. This leaf came out from the jade box, and after coming in contact with the natural energy of the outside world, it immediately began to emit flames. Divine flame leaf. The leaves on the heavenly fire tree, and the red tree roots beside it, should be the heavenly fire root. Chen Xiang picked up a root and sniffed it, smelling a faint fragrance. Blazing GRA God fire leaves and heaven fire root were the main divine medicines to refine Tianhua Dan. The Tianhua Dan's main function was to strengthen the mysterious power's fire attribute. There were some people that had fire mysterious power that were not pure enough and needed Tianhua Dan to cultivate, to make their own flame power even more powerful. There were a lot of people who trained in flame power, so these Tianhua Dan were relatively easy to sell. It was just that the lower quality Tianhua Dan were relatively cheaper, and there were a lot of alchemists that could refine it, so these Tianhua Dan were all considered inferior Shangping Dan in the eyes of many high-level alchemists. But in Chen Xiang's eyes it was different. As long as it was a pill, being able to refine it into the highest level of peak quality, that kind of wonderful feeling of accomplishment made him feel extremely happy and excited. It's been a long time since I've refined a peak quality pill. I came to challenge a Shangping Dan this time. I want to refine a cauldron of peak quality. Chen Xiang had also refined peak quality many times before, and this time, the goal he set was not only to reach the peak quality which would burst out with the pill light, but also to produce more pills. Have you heard of the divine spiritual pill? Chen Xiang asked. He had partook 1p aided in a compet 1 Tian before, and at that time he had to refine a Lingguang Dan, based on the foundation of refining a peak quality. He added another method to the compet 1 Tian, allowing him to refine just one Lingguang Dan out of every set of ingredient. Of course I've heard of it. This was a divine pill of extremely high quality that could be created by combining multiple ingredients. Generally speaking, this is only done during alchemists' self-challenge. After all, it requires a lot of medicinal materials and it only requires a single divine pellet, yet the cost is very high. It is difficult to sell it for a high price, and even lower prices are not enough to return the price, so it is very rare to see it on the market. Yue didn't go out with Xiao Baifeng. Previously, she only followed Xiao Baifeng because she wanted to see what kind of woman Xiao Yulan was. Chen Xiang nodded his head. That is the refining methods of the other alchemists, and as long as I am serious, after a bit of time, a portion of the ingredients will be able to concoct a divine pellet with spirit energy. He had already started a fire and was going to refine it. This was his first time refining a Shangpin Dan, so he was very careful. The resistance energy released by these divine medicines was very strong, and he also needed to slowly burn the spirit blood that produced these divine medicines. Chen Xiang began to burn these 3 sets of God medicine. The most difficult thing for Shangpin Dan was that the spirit inside the Shangpin medicine had a stronger repulsive force, which caused it to be difficult to fuse with. Chen Xiang had never used the original source refining and the spirit strengthening technique to refine Shangpin Dan, so he did not know what kind of difficult problem he would face right now. What's going on? No spirit blood appeared yet? Chen Xiang was a little anxious, because the 3 divine medicines had already been refined for a long time and no spirit blood had been produced. If they did not appear now, this furnace would be considered crippled. I'm almost at my limit. Chen Xiang saw that the 3 medicinal ingredients were about to completely transform into medicine aura, and was even more anxious. He had controlled the refining speed to be very slow from the start, and it was impossible to miss the opportunity for spirit blood to appear. But now that the 3 divine medicines were like this, it made him worried. If he could not use the original source refining on the Shangpin Dan, then he would need more time to comprehend other refining method. Just as he was worrying secretly, he suddenly saw the 3 spirit bloods. It was just that the spirit blood was different from what he imagined. It was all purple. Blazing GRAS, God fire leaf and heaven fire root all had a fiery red appearance, and spirit blood should also have a fiery red fire shape. But now, he saw that the spirit blood of the 3 divine medicines were all purple flames. Something strange has happened. Chen Xiang was ecstatic. When he was refining the Xinyang gold ginseng before, something had happened. Feng Yujie had told him before that abnormal situations were extremely rare, and would usually appear in high-grade divine medicines. The mutation not only increased the quality of the medicine many times over, but it also gave birth to other uses. The 3 spirit bloods aren't even balanced. I need to use a strong spirit technique to balance them before I begin the fusion. This was the first time he had encountered such a situation. In the past, when he was refining, he would at most use a portion of medicinal ingredients to cause a change. He did not have the experience to refine Shangpin Dan in the first place, so when encountering this kind of situation, he had to be extremely careful, or else he would fail. You need to be strong for a period of time. The difference between the spirit blood in these 3 divine medicines is great, and the spirit blood is the strongest among the root. You need to strengthen the blazing GRAS and the God's fire leaf to the same level of strength as the heavenly fire root. Chen Xiang's progress so far was extremely smooth, but he had used quite a bit of time. It was already dark, and when Xiao Baifeng returned, he thought that Chen Xiang would wait for her outside. He didn't expect that he would still be locked inside the secret room. Xiao Baifeng did not see the interior of the secret room, otherwise she would have been shocked, because the secret room was currently filled with an intense purple light. Chen Xiang had already refined the pill furnace and reacted quickly. He had replaced the pill furnace with magic method furnace in time. Yue stayed at the corner of the secret room, staring wide-eyed at the strong purple light emitted by Chen Xiang's transparent magic method furnace. Through the purple light, she could see Chen Xiang fusing 3 BLLs of purple medicine aura. Yue stayed at the corner of the secret room, staring wide-eyed at the strong purple light emitted by Chen Xiang's transparent magic method furnace. Through the purple light, she could see Chen Xiang fusing 3 BALLs of purple medicine aura. Chen Xiang had already completed his spirit strengthening, and was entering the stage of fusion. At this point, he had to be even more careful, because the moment he started fusing, The berserk barrage of pressure would shatter the entire pill furnace. This brat, what is he doing? Yue could not understand what Chen Xiang was doing. Previously, she saw that those 3 divine medicines were all fiery red, but now they had all become purple? Furthermore, from the looks of those rays of light, those purple medicine aura were extremely terrifying. Chen Xiang took an hour to finally squeeze the 3BAL S of medicine aura together and perfectly fused them together. At the moment of fusion, an even more intense purple light exploded forth. At that moment it was also the most violent. That was close. I almost lost it. Chen Xiang heaved a long sigh. He almost couldn't suppress his magic method furnace just now. And to use magic method furnace, in order to make the magic method furnace stronger, he had to use even more 6 realms power. Is it time to start condensing the pill? She knew this step, and Chen Xiang had also begun to divide the medicine aura into 6 parts. It's actually 6 pills, Yue said in surprise. Her Star Law Divine Realm also had this kind of Tianhuadan, but she understood that it would be difficult to condense even 3, but Chen Xiang had more than doubled. Chen Xiang originally only planned to condense 4 pills, but he never thought that after the change, after fusing with the beasts again, he would suddenly produce so many medicine aura. Right now, he was only able to condense 6 pills in a conservative situation. If he wanted to challenge the limit, he felt that he could still condense 1 or 2 more pills. Now that he had experienced the benefits of the magical medicine's mutation, there would be many more medicine aura. He felt that the change must be related to his Chuangzhao fire, otherwise it wouldn't be such a coincidence that he encountered this kind of situation twice. After dividing the pill into 6, Chen Xiang took a deep breath. The following step was extremely crucial, and he did not plan on condensing the pill as simply as he did now. Charge! Chen Xiang shouted in his heart and fiercely controlled the 6 separated groups of medicine aura to undergo a high-speed and violent collision within a short distance. What are you doing? This is killing me. The instant they collided, Yue felt as if her cat's eye was going to be blinded by those purple lights. What she found inconceivable was that the instant they collided, they actually burst forth with a terrifying aura. Yue, who was inside the secret room, and even Xiao Baifeng, who was outside, could feel the aura of a king descending from the heavens. What's he doing in there? Xiao Baifeng suddenly stood up and looked at Chen Xiang's secret room. After fusing the 3BAL S of mutated medicine aura, they had become many times stronger and were already very violent. Then, they were split into 6 by Chen Xiang. The moment they collided, even Chen Xiang was shocked by the power that exploded out. He could clearly feel the speed at which the quality of the energy increased after the collision. Yue and Chen Xiang both looked in shock at the center of the magic method furnace. At this moment there was a purple ball there, just like a purple round jewel. It actually turned into liquid. Yue couldn't help but cry out in alarm. What are you doing? It's just 3 pieces of broken medicinal herbs, but after a few tries, you've become so frightening. Chen Xiang was also very excited at this moment. He laughed proudly. This is concocting pills, transforming rotting into a miracle. With that, he immediately divided the purple liquid into 10 groups. Yue seemed to be numb to it all. If that ball of liquid suddenly hit a boar, she would not be surprised, and would definitely understand the terrifying technique that was Chen Xiang used to concoct pills. 10 pills. Very quickly, Chen Xiang was able to condense 10 purple pellets, and they were of high quality, Hi plus Ning with a purple gold light. These were Shangpin Dan with spiritual light. This seems to be the spiritual light, Yue said. That's right. This is a Tianhua Dan with spirit energy after mutation. Chen Xiang laughed and wiped his sweat. On the way here, he spent more than a day to concoct the pill. After walking out of the secret room, Xiao Baifeng, who was sitting in the center of the room, immediately stood up. He looked at Chen Xiang, who was covered in sweat, and Yue, who had flown out. So the kitten is inside. I thought she was running around. Xiao Baifeng carried Yue, who had flown over, and asked, Xin Fei, what are you doing inside? Such a huge commotion, did it explode? That pill furnace has turned to as H. Plus, Chen Xiang looked at the pill furnace in the secret room. Originally, it was only a fragment. Failed. Don't be too anxious. Even if you miss this match, you still have a lot of chances. Xiao Baifeng also knew that she had given Chen Xiang too much pressure. She was worried that Chen Xiang would be affected by the pressure and be unable to display his true abilities. No, I did it. Chen Xiang took out a jade box and handed it over, then said with a smile. Elder sister Baifeng, take a look, do you recognize what pill this is? Xiao Baifeng opened the jade box, and inside the jade box, a wave of scorching air surged out, causing her to have no choice but to avert her head. This is spiritual light. Xiao Baifeng suddenly widened her beautiful eyes that were filled with astonishment, and involuntarily shouted. This kind of quality. It's a divine spiritual pill. Yes, but do you know what kind of divine pill this is? Chen Xiang did not know what effects the mutated Tianhua Dan would have. Is this a 9 yin and yang Dan? Xiao Baifeng asked. She had eaten Tianhua Dan before, and had seen it many times, but the purple gold divine pellet in the jade box was completely different from the ones she had seen before. No, the 9 yin and yang Dan is even stronger. This is what Tianhua Dan's divine medicine looks like after it mutated. Later on, I used the method of refining spirit light to refine it, and it became like this. Eat one and see how effective it is. Chen Xiang said. Xiao Baifeng ate one pellet and then asked, You used up all of your divine pellets? One needs to have more medicinal ingredients to refine the spiritual light. The effects are 7 or 8 times stronger than the superior grade Tianhua Dan I've eaten before. Furthermore, there is another kind of. Xiao Baifeng took in a deep breath of cool air, her pet. 1T jade face was full of surprise. There is another type of power that can increase one's divine soul. Is this another effect that comes from mutation? The increase in divine soul is more obvious. Chen Xiang laughed faintly. How many Xin Yuan stone can you sell? 20 million pills definitely won't be a problem. Xiao Baifeng said. 30 million is possible. Just how many medicinal ingredients did you use? 1 set. Chen Xiang laughed mischievously. Relax, I have never done things that are out of the ordinary. How can I spend your Xin Yuan stone S to buy medicinal formulas for me, and also help me purchase the 9 yin and yang Dan's medicinal ingredient? I'll get it back for you soon. Xiao Baifeng felt like he had picked up a treasure, and the way he looked at Chen Xiang became gentler. After all, Chen Xiang's pill refining skills had already said her understanding of pill refining. Xiao Baifeng felt like he had picked up a treasure, and the way he looked at Chen Xiang became gentler. After all, Chen Xiang's pill refining skills had already said her understanding of pill refining. Elder sister Baifeng, how much did you spend on the pill formulas? Chen Xiang asked. 700 million Xin Yuan stone. Xiao Baifeng said. And this is the cheapest price because I know someone, that's why I can take them down, if not I would have required another 300 to 200 million. If the Tianhua Dan I refined is very popular, then it won't be long before you make a comeback. Chen Xiang laughed. I have only used 1 set of divine medicines now. Once I familiarize myself with it, I will be able to concoct it faster. Xiao Baifeng was no longer suspicious of Chen Xiang's strength. If she sold the 9 Tianhua Dan in her hands, she would probably sell it for 300 million. Even if it was her, it would still take many years before she could save up to that much. Elder sister Baifeng, can you help me get a better pill furnace? Chen Xiang was a little embarrassed. said, because Xiao Baifeng had said before that she had used up most of her Xin Yuan stone. No problem. Xiao Baifeng nodded his head. The compet. 1. Tian is about to begin. At that time, you only need to refine the Zhongping Dan and you will be able to pass. At that time, the princess will personally watch the compet. 1. Tian, and when that time comes, you will have to reveal your strength. If you can become famous by then these 9 divine pills will be even more expensive. Elder sister Baifeng, I feel that you are very similar to an acquaintance of mine. Chen Xiang suddenly laughed. What do they look like? Xiao Baifeng slightly turned her head, but she was still unable to bear Chen Xiang's gaze. She's called Little Lizzie and is as pet. 1. T as you are, also a beauty who looks cold but looks warm inside. Furthermore, she's been by the side of a very powerful woman since she was young, and is also very powerful. Chen Xiang laughed. I used to tease her and let her be my wife. Humph you. Xiao Baifeng lightly glared at him. You can tell at a glance that this isn't a good thing. If I were her, I would definitely not follow you. Chen Xiang chuckled. Not necessarily, not necessarily. Little scoundrel, Yue giggled. Xiao Baifeng smiled lightly, touched Yue, and said, There is news about the few divine medicines you asked me to inquire about, and they are rarely sold on the market. But I heard that one of our divine cauldron nation has specially purchased these divine medicines for a relatively high price. Can you buy it? Chen Xiang asked. That great national master must be the one who knew how to refine bone-level Dan. Sure, you need something mid-tier? How many portions do you want? Xiao Baifeng asked. Within your capabilities, you can do as much as you want. This is very important to me. Elder sister Baifeng, I will definitely not treat you unfairly in the future. Chen Xiang spoke seriously and continued. Oh right, when you buy it, you better keep it a secret so that no one can find out who bought it, is that all right? Sure. Xiao Baifeng nodded his head. Go rest, don't refine pills tomorrow, rest up and go partic. 1p8 in the preliminaries. Xiao Baifeng woke up very early and busied himself with the things that Chen Xiang had told her. In the Imperial Nine Palace, although a female servant like her had the protection of the Jade Cauldron Divine King, Xiao Yulan, she was still looked down upon. Even the young royal prince, who was much weaker than her, treated her like a slave. And it was only because of Xiao Yulan's face, which was why he was usually so polite to her. However, Xiao Baifeng did not want to continue like this. She needed to obtain even stronger power, and her talent was limited. If she could not break through, when she grew old, Xiao Yulan would let her leave the Imperial Nine Palace, and let her focus on cultivation. And now that she met Chen Xiang, this genius alchemist, she had other plans in mind. Even though she was Xiao Yulan's female servant, she wasn't usually able to be with Xiao Yulan. Furthermore, in the Imperial Nine Palace, she was always scheming, and it was difficult for her to find someone she trusted that she could trust. But what Chen Xiang did was different. Chen Xiang trusted her a lot, and she trusted Chen Xiang the same. Chen Xiang constantly called her elder sister Baifeng, which made her feel especially close. No one had ever called her that, because in the eyes of many in the Imperial Nine Palace, she was just a lowly female servant. Because of her loss of these things, she had gradually forgotten how to smile, so she always seemed cold. Therefore, when she was with Chen Xiang, Yue would occasionally smile. It was just that she was unable to see how beautiful her smile was, while Chen Xiang and Yue were able to see it. Little scoundrel, quickly get up. Yue used her tail to sweep at Chen Xiang's nose, forcing him to wake up. Has it been ruined? Chen Xiang yawned. Refining that mutated Tianhua Dan made him very tired. No, don't you think the elder sister Baifeng is a little pitiful? At least she smiled in front of us. The last time I went with her to see Xiao Yulan, she didn't smile at all when she saw him. Yue said. Chen Xiang sighed. That's normal, This is related to the environment she grew up in. I have also met this kind of woman before. Sister Yu was like this in the past. Yue nodded her head and replied, last time when I followed her to a place relatively close to Jade Cauldron Palace, I heard many people say that she was a servant girl, that she was a that was hard to listen to, and that she had spoken very loudly. It seems like after living here for so many years, she has yet to integrate into this environment and has instead been ostracized. Because this place doesn't give her any warmth or trust, she herself also rejects others. This is normal, this kind of place has too many scheming. If she does this, it would be a form of self-protection. As a result, people would secretly gossip about her, or at least avoid too much trouble. Chen Xiang understood this better. Why did you suddenly ask me this? The words she said to me last night were all complaints, so I hope you can help her. Yue stuck out her tongue. Even though she has 30 divine deity, she's very pitiful. No problem, but I need to find an opportunity. In short, I will take this to heart. After all, she treats me quite well. Chen Xiang nodded and agreed. Chen Xiang did not refine pills today, but had carefully adjusted himself and only returned in the evening. I haven't bought any of those magical medicines yet. It will take me a while to get them. Xiao Baifeng was wearing a very simple light purple dress. The moment she came back, she sat down and looked very tired. Chen Xiang hastily brought tea for her to drink. Elder sister Baifeng, you must have worked hard for the whole day. Is he helping Jade Cauldron Divine King with something? Yeah, she told me to buy some things. Xiao Baifeng nodded. Seeing how considerate Chen Xiang was in serving her, she smiled at him. Xin Fei, the preliminaries are going to start tomorrow. I just got the news that the disciples of the great national master are also going to partake. 1 p8 in the alchemy compet. 1 Tian. Chen Xiang had heard Xiao Baifeng talk about the great national master's disciple before. He was a third-rank divine king, but he possessed the power to fight for the throne. Chen Xiang had heard Xiao Baifeng talk about the great national master's disciple before. He was a third-rank divine king, but he possessed the power to fight for the throne. Which side does he represent? Chen Xiang asked. Didn't you say there are 7 first-rate divine kings competing? His appearance should be on behalf of one of the celestial kings, right? Xiao Baifeng said. I originally thought it would be like that, but in reality it isn't. It's just that Prince thought it was fun, and he himself is an alchemist with extraordinary strength, so he also wants to join in the fun. This fellow must be here to cause trouble. Chen Xiang never thought that it would be like this. He was also extremely curious now how powerful this prince was. If his performance is really outstanding, then he might become a great national master in the future, and he might even possess royal bloodline. Xiao Baifeng caressed Yue, who was being naughty, and laughed softly. But you don't have to worry, your compet. 1. Tian does not need to contend for the first place. It is also not something that you can contend for with your current strength. You just need to demonstrate your strength. I believe that when the time comes, the princess will definitely see through your potential. Chen Xiang nodded his head, but he still wanted to fight for it. Right now, it was a good opportunity to compete with many outstanding alchemists within a divine nation. Yue suddenly meowed. Someone's coming. This guy just pushed the door open and came in. After Xiao Baifeng sensed the familiar aura, he was suddenly shocked and said in a low voice, It's a prince. Originally, she wanted to let Chen Xiang take cover for a while. She didn't want him to get caught, but that prince had already walked in. This was the first time Chen Xiang had seen a prince of divine nations. This prince was very young, around the age of 18, although his face was not bad, but he was tall and thin, like a bamboo rod that would fall if he were to blow. It gave off a very thin feeling, but he was wearing a luxurious golden robe. This set of clothes gave him Bli aura, and he looked like Bli of the imperial family. Ming Prince, it's already late. If you have anything to say it tomorrow. When Xiao Baifeng was speaking with Chen Xiang just now, her expression was very gentle, and there was even a faint smile on her face. However, the moment Ming Prince arrived, she immediately recovered her ice-cold expression. Ming Prince saw a man here, and he was tall and handsome. This caused his heart to be filled with rage, and he spoke with an angry tone of voice. Xiao Baifeng, I didn't think that you would hide a man here. Bringing an outsider into the Imperial Nine Palace is a capital offense. He's not an outsider. He's the princess' subordinate. He just joined the group. Here's his jade medallion. Xiao Baifeng immediately took out a jade tablet. On it was Chen Xiang's name, and the bright side of the jade tablet also had his appearance. Other than that, there was a small cauldron carved at the bottom right corner of the jade tablet, and the words Xiao Yulan were written on top of the cauldron. Chen Xiang immediately understood that this jade tablet was something that Xiao Baifeng had just obtained. Only by obtaining Xiao Yulan's authentication would his item 1. Tai be recognized. He belongs to me now, so why is he staying with me temporarily? Is there something wrong with that? Although her expression was ice-cold, the way she spoke was still very gentle. After all, she had always been like this. Xiao Baifeng, there is now a chance for you to soar into greatness. As long as you agree to it, your item 1. Tai will undergo a tremendous change. When Ming Prince found out that Chen Xiang was not Xiao Baifeng's man, he felt much more comfortable and his tone became better. What chance? Xiao Baifeng asked. Be my concubine. The prince faintly smiled. You don't have to worry about that prince consort of mine. He only came to find you because he persuaded her. As long as you agree, even the imperial sister cannot oppose him. Xiao Baifeng rejected him immediately. No, I'm not so unlucky as to be able to bear it. I have already gotten used to being a servant girl, Ming Prince, please go back. You. Ming Prince was immediately angered. He waved his hand and gathered a burst of delay power, preparing to attack. Ming Prince, please behave yourself. Xiao Baifeng's voice suddenly became ice-cold, and divine power condensed in his body. I understand, you must be having an affair with this guy. Humph. I'll go and tell my royal sister right now. You must know that my royal sister hates her servant girl the most for doing such despicable things. Ming Prince looked at Chen Xiang and snorted. Then, he left in a hurry. Seeing that he had left, Chen Xiang laughed. Elder sister Baifeng, you are quite powerful, didn't you tell me to be careful of these princes, and not to provoke them? You seem to have offended him already. Xiao Baifeng coldly snorted. It's just that this guy is too useless. In all these years, he only has 15 years of divine deity, and it's even so tyrannical. Isn't it just because he has a very powerful mother? He and his mother are both part of the princess faction, so I can only bear with it a little. Not to mention that this fellow has a decent prince's concubine, there are more than 100 women by his side, and they're still not satisfied. They go everywhere to pick a flower and make trouble for him. Chen Xiang laughed. The women beside him are probably not that powerful either. That's why I wanted to subdue a heavenly D like you who has 30 divine deity. Xiao Baifeng glared fiercely at Chen Xiang. Go back and sleep. Tomorrow I'll bring you to Partik. 1p8 in the preliminaries. She had 30 divine deity, so even if she wanted to find a guy, she couldn't be too different from him. Even if she rejected him, she had to at least have potential, and that Ming Prince didn't have any potential at all. It was only 15 years old and Xiao Baifeng had already defeated him with a single slap. Even if it was a prince, Xiao Baifeng had no interest in him. In the morning, Chen Xiang was woken up by Yuer's small tail. Yuer was just a cat at night. Little scoundrel, I have some information on Xian and the others. After communicating with Xingyue for a few days, I finally got some rewards. Yuer said. Is that true? Chen Xiang pinched her small tail, causing her to meow loudly. They were brought to a mountain inside the Jade Cauldron Palace. I will have the stars and moon draw out a detailed map for them in a few days and then pass it on to you. Yue replied. Elder sister Bai Feng has already woken up and is waiting for you. Chen Xiang looked outside the window. The sky had only just brightened. After he finished was plussing up, he walked into the hall and saw Xiao Baifeng in a white dress sitting there. Beside her, there was even some food. Elder sister Baifeng, you look so pretty in a white dress. Although this dress is a bit old, when worn on you, it gives you a kind of simple beauty. Chen Xiang freely praised him, but Xiao Baifeng thought that he was just saying those flowery words. Do you want me to give you some beautiful dresses? I'll go out and pick a few good ones another day. Chen Xiang had good taste. After all, he had many great beauties by his side. No need, I can't be that eye-catching in Imperial 9 Palace. Xiao Baifeng shook his head, looking at the pastries on the table. Hurry up and eat it, it's useful to you, it can let you relax.